pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger roll, Atlantic.
Water towers can fly! Yes!
Echo Delta nominal.
Flight downside speed off. Bring in, speed off. Off.
Yikes. You bet. Okay. We don't need any more of these.
All right, folks. John Galloway for NASA Spaceflight here. We have finally made the call that we are going to start a commentated stream. If you're over on Starbase Live, our 24/7 Starbase channel, you may have already heard the sound of our voice. I won't say dulcet tones, but we are here, and the title of the stream says SpaceX Stacks Starship onto Super Heavy with Chopsticks. We have already seen that the Starship has made a little bit of vertical motion. We've seen, I guess, nightlight. We've seen a gap underneath the Starship, and right now it looks like the entire load of the Starship is resting on the Chopsticks. So the NASA Spaceflight team is here with you until something happens to Ship 20 and the Chopsticks and Booster 4. We've got a lot of people in the studio here with us today, starting all the way up at the top with Adrian. Adrian, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, and it's so cool to see these chopsticks getting used to stack.
How many hours did they sign you up for today? Are you here for like 8 hours, 10 hours?
Like, I need to go to work in like 4 hours, so that's my limit.
Thanks. We'll put you down for 4 hours. We appreciate you, Adrian. You've heard Adrian on the streams before. Also here in the channel, Mr. Chris Bergen. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm kind of surviving. I'm on adrenaline more than anything else, but it's a long amount of hours we're doing this, but it's worthwhile, especially we see Ship 20 on top of Booster 4 by the morning.
Excellent. How many hours can I put you down for?
The next 10 minutes at least.
The next 10 minutes. Wow,
Yeah.
Really pulling out the stops there, Chris.
No, till the top of the hour.
Hey, also, over there watching from the NSF Media Chalet, we've got Chris Gebhardt, I'd say on site, across the ship channel, whichever way you want to call it. Chris, how are you doing this evening?
From the NSF Chalet.
Yeah.
Greetings, everyone.
I can
Yes,
call it that, can't I?
I'm doing good. I'm glad I made it here to see the stack, as much as I really wish for all of you it would have lifted earlier.
You just drove all the way in from Florida, right?
I did indeed, yes. All the way across the Gulf.
That is what... I mean, Teslas are very impressive, but they didn't go, like, actually in the Gulf, right? You took roads.
I took roads. I mean, they're not there yet. No, yeah.
Hey, also, we've got Mr. Ian Atkinson with us. You hear Ian's voice in all those update videos, those narrated update videos we put out on occasion. Ian, how are you doing this fine evening?
I am doing great and ready to see maybe some chopstick action, question mark?
Like, there's a slight amount of chopstick action, like chopstick tensioning, chopstick torsioning. I mean, we've already seen them move a little bit, so I think it's a pretty safe bet to say something's going on.
Yeah, we've at least seen something tonight.
Yep. And lastly here, we've got Mr. Jack. Mr. Jack Beyer, how are you doing?
I'm doing. Ian said he hopes we see some chopstick action. We're seeing it. This is it. This is as much action as we are going to see so far anyways. It's off the thing. It's off the thing. We've been waiting for a day now, like maybe more. It is off the transporter. So it's doing it. It's doing the thing now. Yay. I don't know if I sound sleep-addled or deprived, but hooray. It's doing the thing.
Well, Jack is out. Go ahead, Ian.
You could almost say that an
Adrian?
increase in action would be bad at this point, because if the action increases, that might be not good. This is what we want.
That was Adrian, not Ian there. Sorry about that. Jack is out there as well, so Jack is on site at Boca. Of course, Nick and Mary are already out there, our normal Starbase photographers, of course. And lastly, in the back channel, we know we've got Michael Baylor clicking on all the things, making all the lights blink correctly. Don't know if we have him on comms. Michael, were you going to say hi?
Hi, how's it going, everyone? And I'm hoping I'm going to be in bed in a couple of hours, so I want fast chopsticks today.
Fast chopstick action, nice.
Hang on, they lost comms. RDP drop, 1 second. At least I assume you can't hear us in chat.
No one said anything yet.
One way to find out.
Chat, can you hear
is
us?
the stream still live? Is it buffering?
If chat can hear us, where are you watching from?
Yeah, 5x5s.
Yeah, they can
It
hear
could be
us.
awkward, couldn't it?
They
We
said
said
they
something
can hear us,
awkward there.
Michael.
I'm getting an error. I'm getting an error code, so we cannot control the stream. This is completely hands off. But
Oh, good times.
It's still working, and you can hear us.
Excellent. Well, that's what you want to have happen sometimes, I guess, huh?
It's times like that where you're glad you don't swear by accident.
Oh, by the way, sorry, mods.
So actually, I think let's see. This is a test. I'm
Uh-oh.
going to try to switch cameras and see what.
Yeah.
Okay, now we should be fully back.
There we go. We've turned it off and on again.
Yeah. Did you try turning it off and on again?
Sorry about that, chat. We're back now.
We were trying to put the USB port in, but had it going in the wrong way.
And we can tell Elon can start the chopsticks again now. He's very kind of into pause just while we sort it out.
Hopefully that's our bug. Like if we have, you got to have one bug every stream, and if that's our bug, get it out of the way in the first 5 minutes.
What's that, Apollo 13? That's our one failure for the mission.
All I can think about is Ian jamming a USB plug in the wrong way. It's like giving me nightmares. Why would you say that, Ian?
And now we know what Jack's nightmares are.
Startlingly accurate.
With enough force, you can do it. Like, it's only a question about force.
With enough force, Adrian, you can do anything. In fact, you can lift a starship with two wonky-looking chopsticky things.
Very fair assessment.
Which, yeah, can we talk about the sci-fi reality nature of this for a second? Because so for those of you who were with us a couple minutes ago, and for those of you who have just joined us, one of the things we were discussing was, this is a very methodical process. They've got it up off of its support structure right now. Is it possible they put it back down? Yes. Is it possible this is just a test lift? Yes. But we don't normally see stacking operations out in the open like this. So all of those little minute movements, the up, down, get it out of the way, get the ground support equipment up before you actually lift, takes a while. And of course, this is a different way than SpaceX has ever lifted before, right? We're used to seeing a bunch of people and cranes and spotters and everything around the launch site and the launch tables. And this is very different, right? This you don't see people, in great quantities around this vehicle right now. So new methods of stacking, new systems that are being introduced. This is, as much as I know we wanted this to go fast, this might very well need to be a very methodical process the first time they do this with a ship on the arms.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Again, y'all, to let you know where we are right now, we are live with the commentary stream. If you're just joining us, I'm going to repeat this because people keep coming in. They're like, what's going on? Starship, I could say just Starship and not say the number. Or we could say Ship 20 is in the air right now. There is clearance. It's not daylight because it's the middle of the night. But
It's going up. It's going up.
Oh.
Look at Booster 4.
It is lifting. Look at that.
Look at that. See
it
moving.
Wow.
Yeah, and look how
That's
fast it's moving too, especially the left side.
Yeah.
Sorry. Especially the left side as it goes up. Look at that.
Das, we're gonna need you to continue to sort of lay the foundation of expectations so that they can be defied. That seems to be going right now. We're 2 for 2, so please continue to say something right now about how it's going to go so fast and we'll all be in bed snugly and warm in 30 minutes. How about that?
Well, I hate to break it to you, Jack, but it stopped moving when you said that.
So Jack, you stop talking. And
look at this.
No, it's still going. It's still going.
It is still going. Yeah.
Maybe it's powered by our excitement.
Look at that. It's powered by lines of chat, I think. The
louder we scream, the faster it goes.
Exactly. So, folks, look at that. Yeah. That is Ship 20 being supported by the chopsticks, those two main load points up at the top, then those little triangular stabilizers sort of lean in and grab, not really the waist of the Starship, but not the midpoint of the Starship there. That is fully being lifted for the first time ever by the chopsticks.
And what I was saying earlier too about all that little stuff that happens beforehand, that was the precursor, because the next thing I was going to say is the actual lift operations usually go very quickly because it's just a matter of lift, translate over, ease down, right? So yeah, let's see how quickly they get this up the tower. But look at that shot that we've got on the right-hand side of the screen right now of oh my gosh.
Wow.
That looks
look
so
Wow.
that looks so wrong because I'm used to seeing Starship on the pad or on the ground, and there's just nothing underneath it. It's just going. There's no crane lifting it. What?
I'm so losing a sense of scale here because
Yeah.
you only see big things next to it right now, and then you remember how big this thing really is and what is happening here.
Well, and even more so, Adrian, to what you were saying, what is happening here? You know, they're as excited as this is to see, right? Because of with the potential of what Starship offers. What is also incredibly important to remember is that we are watching our lunar return vehicle get stacked for the second time here at Starbase. Like this is the vehicle that will land humans on the moon as part of the Artemis program for the first time in nearly 50 years. That's part of that. That's the huge part of this, right? The coolness, the display, the optics are all there, but it is the reality of what this is building toward that should not and cannot be lost here today.
Can I jump off that, Chris? There's a very relevant point here. This launch tower was built in no time. It was prefabricated and built in no time. And it can cope with different kinds of changes Elon made to bring into the Starship system because of the way it's stacking the vehicle. Take into account Mobile Launcher 1 for SLS, which was the former Ares 1 mobile launcher. It was $1 billion. It had a lean to it. It needs modifications to it all the time. And they have to build a brand new mobile launcher for the SLS Block 1B because it's slightly taller. It's incredible. This is basically something they built for a fraction of the cost, in a fraction of the time, and it can deal with changes. That's the wonderful thing about this Mechazilla system. It can catch, it can stack, it can cope with changes. So I find it's wonderful.
And I think that's actually a really good point to remind everyone of where we were even a year ago, right? We knew there had to be a tower, right? That's just a reality of a rocket because of how you fuel it, how you sort of integrate it, especially when you have a vehicle that's going to ideally one day carry crew, right? There's got to be a tower there of some kind, but the arms just sort of seem to come out of the blue, right? And now we're watching that tower we knew had to be here lift this ship on top of Booster 4.
It looks like we saw a drone going up, kind of matching the pace of the ship going up, which is really fast. This is a lot faster than I expected.
This really is.
It's actually getting close to the QD arm, which is about halfway-ish up the tower, so this is making rapid pace.
One question I have is, are there taglines on this thing? Normally with these sort of lifts, we see taglines and thus people, handling those on the ground. This looks like a completely free lift with the chopsticks by itself. I'm wondering if there's just like nobody out there right now as like a safety precaution. And
I would assume so because this is the first active or useful lift of the chopsticks. And yeah, if you have it mounted in place, the chopsticks should be designed so that when you rotate it into place, it will drop it exactly on the booster. And yeah, it seems like that's what we're going to get because it doesn't look like there's anyone out there right now.
Yeah, I feel like what helps with this is the two stabilizers on the left and the right side of the chopsticks that you can see actually right now in this angle below the main chopstick. These two stabilizers that help to stabilize the vehicle on its way up. So basically a tagline included.
Yep, there is an Elon tweet. We're working on getting that on the screen right now.
Yeah, and Adrian, exactly what you were just saying. Picking up off of what Jack said, those stabilization arms. The interesting thing I'm curious about is how much of what we're seeing in terms of those stabilization arms are because it's first time. So you're being a bit more conservative, right, in how you're doing it, because having to attach those and unattach those things would strike me as a, maybe it's necessary, maybe it's a necessary evil, as you would say, of the system, but it would also be interesting to see if eventually those go away for timeline considerations in being able to rapidly turn these vehicles around.
That's a good question. I just expect them to exist. They kind of make sense to me to have 4 points of contact, and then you can sort of wiggle the ship as needed. Maybe they don't ever wiggle it. I don't know if they do or don't. But this thing is cooking up the tower. This is way faster than I expected.
Look at that.
Oh,
It's
well, there
past
you
the
go.
top of Booster
Reaching
4
the
now.
top of yeah.
Look at the drones swarming around the top of it.
And Jack, actually, what you just said about those stabilization points, it brought up another thought in my mind, where we know they plan to reuse the boosters far quicker than they plan to reuse the ships. So maybe this is something they need to stack the ships, but because the ships might be used once a day, it's not that big of a deal versus the boosters that are designed for, I think he was saying 3 times a day or something like that for the boosters, ideally.
Yeah.
I cannot get over the fact that the chopsticks are just about ready to clear the top of the booster.
Yeah, this was so fast.
This is
This,
awesome.
this is shocking to me because I was expecting them to go up maybe like a foot or two or even a few meters up the tower, but they're just going for it.
Yeah.
And what is the weight of ship again? How
About
many metric tons of ship?
110 tons dry, 120 approximately.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is how much mass is
Look
being
at
translated up the tower
that.
right now.
I mean,
Wow.
the tip of the ship is now taller than the top of the booster. Like the flaps have almost cleared the top. I think the flaps have cleared the top of the booster because the top of the chopsticks have cleared the top of the booster. This is it. They're just not messing around.
What are we
and
looking at here? Look at
Well,
this.
I've lost all sense of normal commentary. I'm just going, oh wow, look at that! Oh wow!
We're just a bunch of fanboys right now screaming at the screen.
I'm glad I have pushed
an
to talk
answer.
on.
Well, I think I have an answer for what was this like. I mean, this is like seeing Apollo 4 for the first time. The very first Saturn V that when it rolled out of the VAB. I mean, this is the equivalent of seeing that for the first time.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, this is so much more different than what we saw last August with the quick fit check, because with that, these vehicles were essentially boilerplates. They were nowhere near ready for even basic testing, and now we have a ship that's passed not only cryogenic proofing but several static fires of all 6 engines. We are looking at almost flight capable vehicles, and that's unreal.
And
Sorry
actually,
to
Jack
interrupt you,
just
Ian.
reminded us that we Jack and I were inside, and it's like, oh right, we should go outside and actually watch it.
Yeah. So real quick, we actually have a tweet. Of course, Elon just a couple minutes ago put out a tweet of a lot of cameras here that are looking up there. It said tower arms are lifting Starship onto the super heavy booster, and if we enhance that picture a little bit,
And big in it.
you can actually see their camera views looking up under the bottom of Starship. 3 of the vacuum Raptors, 3 of the sea level Raptors underneath the Ship 20 there. Go ahead, Jack.
Can I point something out about this? Note, this is a photo of a monitor. Looks like, remote cameras at the pad. So this is not like an Elon tweet of a photo that a worker or he took while at the pad that we have seen before for previous such events. This is clearly like a shot of a monitor with like security cameras or engineering cameras or what have you on it. Yep. So more thinking along the lines of like, it must just be clear down there and they're lifting this thing sort of without anybody.
Joey, at
My
Elon,
God,
can we pipe these feeds in?
Yeah,
It's like, Elon, hey, you want more cameras? Go ahead,
Yeah.
Adrian.
What I learned from Starbase Live is he should make sure that the bottom 2 views are not the same, so he should change angles there. That's what I learned from that.
There's double cameras on Starbase Live sometimes. It happens. Look at this, though.
So
the
yeah,
flaps.
This is what I was just gonna say, Das. Like, look at this. It's almost above. It's almost above Booster 4.
Yeah.
Oh, you can see the drone going up too.
And they're not going to leave this hanging there for ages. This is going to happen pretty fast because they want to get it over on top of the booster.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are really close to the second fully stacked Starship, which
Yeah.
is just crazy.
And a nighttime, by the way, a nighttime lift. They didn't do that with the cranes.
Hashtag night stack.
Night stack.
Yeah.
There you go.
And it has paused actually. They have paused the ascent up the tower. It looks like.
They managed to get by the QD arm, no problem.
Yep.
Now they're
QD arm
kinda-
swung out of the way. We were watching for the QD arm to swing back so that the chopsticks could actually translate, I guess, vertically translate past the QD arm level there. But the chopsticks are fully past it. You're right, Jack.
Sometimes it sounds like we're saying cutie arm, like it's a cute. Look at that cute arm,
Cutie
but no, it's QD, like quack delta. I forgot what the Q phonetic alphabet is, but yeah, you know, QD, not cutie, but QD.
QT arm, yeah.
It's both.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that some sort of like mega drone flying by? Like, what is that? There's a really bright light up there.
There is, yeah, that is one of the drones, yeah, that they use. So what's going to be interesting to me, so we see it sort of paused here, and again, pausing is not. It's good to talk about this. Pausing is not necessarily a sign of an issue. It's not necessarily a sign of anything other than, hey, they got to this particular point. Maybe there's something they need to do with the arm. Maybe there's something they need to do with the system to start its transition, from the lift to the translation. Maybe it's literally a photo op, because that's part of this, right? But what we're going to be seeing as we go through the evening here, as they go to stack, just because they stop doesn't necessarily mean there's an issue with the system. It might just mean they're stopping to do due diligence, or look at something, or hey, it's time to switch over from operation A to operation B.
Yeah, and remember, there's two big parts here. There's the vertical movement up and down the tower. There's going to be horizontal movement as well. There's going to be a swinging motion where that chopsticks, the chopsticks pivot on that central point. Remember when they were assembling all that, and there was that massive central pin they put in that the cables were connected to. And there's going to be a pivoting motion after Starship clears the top of the booster. That is going to be very interesting. If I had to guess, I think that the pivoting motion is probably more dangerous, critical, problematic, I don't know what the right way to say it is, than the lifting motion. The lifting is just straight up and down. Get it on the chopsticks, get the pins in, straight up you go. Poof. But the swinging motion, when you move it horizontally over the top of the booster, that's a whole different ball game, isn't it?
Well, and the different stresses that are going to be imparted into the tower too, right? As the arms start to translate that mass over. And again, like we were saying, it's not an insignificant mass. 110 metric tons, that is a lot. That is a lot to translate over like this. So, yeah.
Yeah, and one thing to notice too is that the lifting mechanism is completely independent of the rotating mechanism. Now, with the rotating mechanism, it looks like they use some sort of pistons. So at this point, maybe they could be pressurizing that system, ensuring that the hydraulics are all fine with that. Maybe they're just checking something with the lifting motor, like, hey, it's consuming this much power, right? It's outputting this much heat, right? Because all of this is new to them. Like, they've lifted the water bags we saw before, but this is an active payload that is a bit more important than a bag of water. So there's nothing wrong with taking your time and being careful with this.
This picture just looks crazy. Like,
it's surreal, isn't it?
I have trouble understanding this picture. This is insane.
Yeah, and you can see the steady stream of workers that are still in the vicinity, but
well, there's cars going in both directions. Like, there's cars going towards the pad. Yeah. It's not like a typical road closure for a static fire or something where, no one shall pass or whatever. I mean, there's cars coming and going right now. This is amazing.
It's just a casual night.
I was under the impression the road was closed. Otherwise, I would be there. So, question mark? This is interesting.
Yeah.
What I'm really curious about right now is how much of this process will be done without any person going up. Like, will they be able to place it on top of the booster and even lock it there completely without any person going up and
it's moving again, it's raising again.
Yeah.
There we go. Back to the same speed it was before.
I mean, when it goes, it goes. Look at that.
Wow. I'd love to see the control desk for this, because there has to be something in like the Stargate building where it's just like chopstick control system in like an ominous font.
I love it.
In an ominous font. I love it.
Were y'all just laughing there?
You heard me laughing through Jack's microphone.
Jack's
That's how
microphone.
bad that was. Sound suppression has nothing over my voice.
Nice. The drones flying around are amazing. It's just like a swarm of drones.
They are. So another thing that I'm interested in and that we'll be watching for too is part of the stacking operation for this is the extension and connection of the quick disconnect arm. there that you see Starship sort of starting to clear, and it's almost past the top of Booster 4. Almost past the top of Booster 4 there. Wow.
We're doing some stargazing there for a second. Stand by.
That's usually me.
We've
even the camera was so impressed it fainted.
Yep. Look at this though. Look
at the booster.
Look at that. It's above the booster.
It is. The aft end of Starship is above the booster via the chopsticks for the first time ever.
Oh my god.
Look at this.
Oh my god.
It doesn't look real. I'm
And
sorry.
It's
It's
still
like
moving up.
It looks
Yeah.
sci-fi and awesome, and like
I mean-
it really does, especially with the drones zipping around. It looks like something out of Blade Runner or just something out of a really awesome sci-fi movie. I'm glad this is the timeline that we're on. I think it's the first time I've said that in a long time.
And I do believe we have vehicle stop, or whatever the term is.
Yeah. The tip of the ship, pardon me, is almost higher than the top of the tower.
Yeah.
Look. That we always wondered like how high exactly would this go? It's definitely cleared the booster, in that the front of the ship has almost cleared the tower. This is crazy to look at.
You know what I'm starting to realize actually now, because we have so many questions that we get about, different elements of both the testing campaign and how this is going to work operationally. And one of the big questions we get about operational uses of Starship is, how do you put the payload in it if it's out at the pad? Well, I think actually watching this now, the ship will just go to a facility, get the payload put in it there, hauled to the pad, and picked up by the chopsticks.
Yeah. And
I
I
think
mean,
that's ultimately how it works, but I think that was a question that was out there that was like, you kind of just have to see how it all starts to come together to figure out some of the other little minutia of it.
and yeah, because Starship has such a large payload bay, moving the whole vehicle for vehicle processing wouldn't be such a big deal because the payload bay is such a large part of the vehicle. But also, when you think about it, if they're launching payloads from Florida, I think there's a large building that has some commercial openings that has a large internal space with some cranes inside of it near a launch site.
Yeah, Chris, are you still here with
Yeah.
us? Yeah. What was that plan? Because the Starship at Kennedy is definitely going to be a thing. And there was that environmental sort of initial report about
Yes.
what they might do with those facilities. What sort of buildings were they looking for over there? Was there mention of the vehicle assembly building? Mention of new construction for Starship Ops at Kennedy?
Right, so it's a mix of what's being reported in the documentation for their environmental reports, and also sources and people within Space Florida who've been advertising towards SpaceX to occupy High Bay 2, I believe it is, on the VAB, which is the commercial space inside of VAB, which was going to be for Omega before Omega was cancelled. Was that High Bay 2, Chris?
That was indeed, yep.
Yeah, so that's the high bay they're looking to advertise towards SpaceX. I don't know if SpaceX need it. We know they've got Roberts Road they're going to build up and have facilities there to build up the vehicles, but it'd be ship and booster, just as it is with Starbase. And then they'll stack ship and booster at the pad via the tower. They'll have a Mechazilla system at 39A, slightly different, Elon said to me in a tweet reply, slightly different from Starbase. And then probably 2 at LC49 if that passes the review as well. So it really is a case of where they're looking at East Coast operations, where Roberts Road will be like a base of operations and the vehicles will go to potentially 3 pads. But would they then take the VAB as an interim stop, as a storage area towards the rollout, towards the pads? That's the big question. So one eye on Space Florida, who are responsible for selling those facilities, and one eye on SpaceX on what they may reveal.
Yep, and real quick here, we've got another
man.
tweet out from Elon, it looks like. I'm actually just going to bring this up full screen here, but it looks like a drone shot Elon has tweeted here. I think you can see the high bay, the wide bay in the background, the bottom of the booster down there, the QD arm is there, of course the Chopsticks is ship 20. That's cool.
And you know
Unreal.
what? We talked about, like what was the equivalent earlier, and I said Apollo 4 being on the launch pad. I got goosebumps looking at this photo with a ship against a gray tower and what looks like a vehicle assembly building in the background. Like, there's your connection to where we've been and where we're going.
and then just cars waiting at the stoplight at the road construction back there in the background.
With the tweet story.
Some things never change.
I mean, with Elon live tweeting this event, you can tell that not only we are excited about this. So yeah, I guess at SpaceX some people are really happy as well how this is going so far.
Yeah. Again, folks, if you're just joining us, you're seeing something that has never been seen before. That is Starship S-20, and it has been lifted all the way up to the top of the tower via the chopsticks. It's not a crane. It's not any sort of... It's a completely custom lifting mechanism, and it is cleared. It has cleared the top of the booster there. Pausing a little bit, I'm sure they're making sure everything's good to go. We expect to see the ship swing over to the top of the booster, and at some point this evening, there goes another drone up the middle there, be set down on top of the booster for the first ever full stack created by the Launch Integration Tower. That big, massive Mechazilla system that Elon talked about, I'd say so long ago, but I didn't think it wasn't even that long ago that he talked about Mechazilla. Hi.
You know, this is making me think back on...
Sorry, Ian, can I just quick thanks to Tim Dodd, who did a retweet of, basically tweeted out our link to this live coverage. He's a good lad.
How's it going?
But yeah, I was saying, I'm thinking back now to the progress that we've seen, not just with Starship, but also how their plans for the launch site have changed. And I remember seeing on one of the environmental assessment papers, they plan to have a crane on top of the tower. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, it's probably going to look like, the Saturn V launch umbilical towers crane or the fixed service structure crane for the space shuttle. Nope, they just did this. And yeah, I don't know. This is just something I never would have expected like a year ago. I mean, just look at this. We have a Starship suspended from 2 chopstick arms on the side of the tower that can move up and down the tower and are designed to catch a booster.
When was the first time we heard of the Mexilla system? Has it even been a year?
I was just looking for that, yeah. It was an Elon tweet, and we all said, okay, Elon, yeah. Because it wasn't that far past the time he tweeted about inflatable, bouncy castles. That was it, bouncy castles for retrieving dragons. And I think that was a jerk, and we thought that was a follow-on. Oh, you're gonna use these sticks to catch, because he didn't mention about stacking. He mentioned about catching them, and we thought, return to the launch tower accuracy. That's something else compared to a drone ship. That's a super heavy launch vehicle returning to the tower and being caught. That can't be real.
Yeah. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me in a lot of ways of SpaceX saying that they're going to land and reuse Falcon 9 boosters, and the whole entire industry and a good chunk of the general public that is aware of such things sort of going, yeah, sure, I'll believe it when I see it. That'll never work. I mean, I'm guilty as charged when we found out via those tweets that we were talking about that they were going to catch ships and boosters with twiggy arms sticking off a massive tower. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I'll believe it when I see it. That doesn't seem to work. And it seems like we, in the grand scheme of things, only just found out about how this whole system would work and what it looks like. And now we can see it working with our own 2 eyes. And obviously, this is the very first test lift. They could encounter issues. There could be refinements that are made on future towers or on this tower itself. But this very much to me feels like a moment where something so surreal and seemingly improbable and that just doesn't seem like that's the way to do that. They're doing it. They're proving us wrong, or proving me wrong, at least in this case, and showing look, it's easy. We're just doing it, no problem. And it's just I'm almost speechless, because it's really cool to see them sort of knock down another big milestone in the development of this vehicle, and it makes me so excited and gives me confidence in a weird way, confidence that when SpaceX or Elon says they're going to do X or Y thing, if it sounds crazy at first, hey, maybe it's like the bouncy castle thing and it doesn't actually end up happening, or they try it really hard and it doesn't end up happening, or maybe it's like catching the fairings. They try it and it doesn't end up happening. But there's also the times where they try it and it works. And that is what it looks like we're looking at right now. Obviously, ship not on booster yet, still a ways to go, but it's in the air. It's in the air above the booster for the first time ever. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh.
And just to add to that, I did a quick A/B here to look what is happening right now. And if you go back about 5.5 minutes, or like more at this point, more like 6, you can see while I'm not sure if it's rotation, they're doing something. The lighting on the ship changed a bit. If you go like 6, so it moved. It moved while it didn't go up and down anymore. Like, it changed, so they're doing some sort of movement there. Well, and it looks like they're testing the next thing.
Yeah,
right. So part of the chopstick system, right, is that ability to do sort of like fine motor skill rearrangement of where the booster or the ship actually like caught onto the towers, or caught onto the arms, I believe. Like they can move it forward and back, side to side, and they can even like rotate it a little bit, I believe.
It looks like it did this, like, almost, if you imagine it being like a plane, it almost looks like it does a little bit of pitch. Like, that's how it looks like if you rewind.
Yeah, and as we discussed before, there's no, what do you call them, lead lines. There's no ropes for people to finally guide the thing into position. So if there's no one up there and you need to get this thing aligned to click into place with something, you need some sort of translation or rotation mechanism on the chopsticks to move the vehicle.
Also, you just reminded me, and there's no crew lifts. There's no cherry pickers. There's not only no taglines, there are no spotters. This is looks like to be a completely automated or remote controlled process, which is kind of astounding.
You can't say there are no spotters, because there are 2 spotters that are in the air and flying
the
around.
Drones.
Yeah.
There's no human, no, let's say, wetware spotters out there right now.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we can go back to the...
No Mark 1 eyeballs.
We can go back to the first stack, can't we? We had those 2 large, long crew lifts, and the drone shot of where they were zooming in and out and showing the amount of workers around the main operation, the little small gap between the ship and the booster. It was about, 10 people at least? Not going to have this time. It's going to be all done by cameras and drones and this Mechazilla system. It's another advancement.
And real quick, it looks like we've got another tweet that's come out from Elon. This one's another still photo from a little bit away. But that is, I just took it was literally no comment from Elon on it. It was just this photo of the Starship being stacked there with, looks like they got a drone up there as well. But look at the poor crane. The poor SpaceX crane there, nothing to do today. It doesn't need to do anything for stacking the Starship here. So we'll keep bringing those Elon tweets up as they come through so that you can keep abreast of what's going on here as they stack Ships 20 up on the top of Booster 4 with the chopsticks for the first time ever. Whew. Y'all, I see that there's a bunch of super chats coming in. we thought we were going to sit here for 14 hours, I think was the joke. And they started lifting a thing, and it just went straight up. So we are actually going to hold on to those super chats right now. And I do see quite a few of them in the list, but we're going to wait till we get a little bit more of a break, and we're not right in the action. I do see the super chats, and we really do appreciate you. Same thing with questions. We're going to see if we can't find some questions here. A lot of questions that may not have an answer yet, but we will see if we can't do a little bit of Q&A. Tag us in chat at NASA Spaceflight if you've got questions for us. But again, Ship 20 being stacked on top of the booster using the chopsticks, or by the chopsticks, I guess is the right way to say it, for the first time ever. This is cool.
We'll also add, we've got a video coming out, thanks to Mary and Nick, which will cover all day's events, including right up to this point we're now live. So you'll see the preparations for it and all the production site as well. So there's a lot more content to come while we're watching this. It'll keep you occupied.
I think they did, Chris, that was the theme of the video was Starship moved into place or something like that, and it's like, well, that's old news now. Look, the Starship has moved up the tower now, and we're still going to, of course, put the video out. We've got time lapse of all the the preparations that happened over the course of the day. So if you're interested how they got to here with the ship on the chopsticks, that's what the video that we're about to release is. We'll still release it. What are we going to do, Bennett? Like, come on.
Well, no, I'm going to be very interested to go watch it now, actually having seen the lift, to now go back and watch all of those preparations. And of course, as we see more and more stacks go on, it will be really cool to go back and reference this video over and over and over again for how the process has changed and refined over time.
Yep, exactly. And this... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Adrian.
I just found it interesting because we were able to see the preparation steps to this lift shortly before the lift as well. I talked with our writer Alex about it, that you could see how the stabilizers moved in, and how you could see how they do like these small steps in the process of lifting the ship. And that's also another thing we will learn about this. We will learn what we need to watch out for before they will lift things with these chopsticks, and we'll understand the process better. So I'm excited for that because I love process tracking.
And I've just pinned the video that's been released into the top of chat, and I'll do that on Starbase Live as well.
All right, we've got it up here, I think. Let's see if we can't get it. There is a little bit of a time lapse of the booster being, or the ship actually being positioned there last night. Nick actually got some cool footage. Of course, this is the video that we've just released summarizing all the work that went up to getting Ship 20 into position here in preparation for the lift. That's literally happening right now. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, and like you said, like this was not just roll the ship up, grab it with the chopsticks, and move it up. There's a lot of alignment that had to go into place. And we saw actually earlier about about 2 hours ago, they had to put a little bit of strain to put enough force on the chopsticks to almost lift it, just to make sure that everything was working. So this was not just roll it up, grab it, lift it, and boom, you're done. There's a lot of preparation work, and the video goes through everything they had to do throughout the course of today.
Absolutely. Let's see. Do we have a couple questions that we've maybe pulled out here? Does anybody want to take control of that question pulling task?
While someone does that, I just want to thank everybody for the super chats and the support, because this is what we're following this historic event, and we would not be able to do this ourselves without that support. So we're enjoying this as much as you are, but it's thanks to you that we're getting to enjoy it with you. If that makes any sense.
It does, and I know while we pull some of those questions too, so we've seen it lift. What they would be doing right now if things are proceeding nominally through their timeline and they didn't see anything out of family of what they would be expecting during the lift, which indications are that they did not. What they would be doing now is prepping for that swing over, right? They've lifted it vertically. Now they've got to swing it over to get it over top of Booster 4 before they can lower it back down. So that, as you were saying, requires some pneumatics and different things that have to be that have to be readied for those operations. You also have the movement of the quick disconnect arm and its ability to connect with the vehicle that's also being tested. And what you cannot see here, but are 100% there, are thousands of sensors throughout that tower and that entire system, monitoring the stress and monitoring every little thing that is going on to make sure that it is safe to proceed to the next step. So we have seen them pause here, but that would not be unexpected for an operation of this kind and a first type of operation of its kind.
I still can't believe it's just
Hanging
just
out.
sitting up there in the air, just chilling.
Yeah, it's unreal.
See, do we have some of those questions maybe? Could we, I mean, one of the things we do is we try to answer viewer questions, and we were so dumbfounded by the rapid ascent of Starship, we weren't doing any question answering. While we're sort of here in this, I imagine they're checking the loads and making sure everything's cool before they go for the swing maneuver. Do we have some questions maybe?
I got some put in the queue, all ready to go. I got about 5.
All right. Who wants to grab some questions?
Ian, I see. Notice the very first question in the queue is from someone else named Ian. Are you playing favorites here?
Well, now you see,
All right, got it.
Yes. No comment.
All right.
So
I actually didn't notice.
He wanted to say yes.
I actually didn't notice.
drone going down again. That's cool. Okay, Ian, not this Ian, but a different Ian that Ian selected, is asking, will SN20, which now it's called Ship 20, or S20, will S20 launch after...
Is it rotating? I think
It is rotating.
Oh my god. Didn't we hear this could take 12 hours?
Yes, actually. Like,
I don't think it will take 12 hours.
And let's hope that was the worst case scenario that they're beating by a long shot here.
Yeah.
SpaceX was like, oh, they're starting to answer questions. Fast, rotate.
Quick, yeah, exactly. As soon as they read a super chat, fine, move it again.
And now that we're not doing anything, they'll be like, all right, stop it.
Hold. Oh.
Confuse media button extreme.
I'm going to
right.
AB back and forth again here just to see how much it's moved.
But yeah, it is indeed. They are rotating it. Look at that.
Oh, wow. It's actually rotated pretty significantly.
Yeah.
So the question was, will it launch after this? Will Ship 20 and Booster 4 launch after this stack? Who wants to take that conundrum?
No.
Why,
No.
Ian?
Uh-oh,
Tell Ian why.
All right, Ian, this is coming from Ian, so this is coming from the heart. No, it's not going to, because we have not seen any static fire testing on the booster itself. Now, could they do static fire testing with the ship on top? Absolutely, but that is a risky endeavor, and you don't want to do that with precious cargo on board, such as a ship with 6 expensive Raptor engines on it. So very, very, very likely they're going to destack it before these vehicles fly, if they do fly.
Devil's advocate. I agree with you. I agree with you that the odds are in favor of a D-stack here for additional testing before flight. But devil's advocate, wouldn't you want some data on as you start to fill the booster in the ship and you get all those cryo interactions going up the stack and all the interactions and the flex points on the arms and the towers and everything? That might be something they could get some good data off of without actually having to static fire the booster with ship on top of it.
Oh no, absolutely, and I'm not arguing against that. I'm just saying that this is not a stacking for launch.
Oh, and 100%, yes, yeah.
Another reason might be if they want to static fire a lot of Raptors at the same time, it might be good to have a counterweight at the top.
Yes,
to
thank you.
help to counter these 29 Raptor engines firing, because we saw them. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Long-time tank watchers will remember serial number 5 and serial number 6, and I think 4, and maybe 3. Either way, 5 and 6 for sure had massive, about 22 tons of steel just welded to the top of each vehicle, and that was for important reasons, right? TM, important reasons. And so the ship could, in theory, play a similar role for booster static fires, but I definitely think I'm on the side of D-stack then the static fire, but who knows? We honestly, I can't say what they'll do.
And having some kind of a mass simulator on top of it for that 29 Raptor engine static fire would make sense, right? Because the vehicle lifts off with an overall thrust to weight ratio of 1.5. So having that added 110 tons plus fuel mass on top of the booster as you're static firing it would certainly relieve some of the stresses on the hold down points on the orbital launch mount. Ooh, I got through that with only 2 mess ups in speaking, so yay!
Congrats.
No regrets.
By the way, there's another Elon's tweeting like crazy. I think he's excited as we are.
Well, you see, Chris, they closed off the beach, which they did not do for the previous stack. So the place where all the photographers went for the previous stacking is not available for people to be at right now. And so perhaps Elon is filling the void with a flurry, I almost said a slurry, a flurry of his own tweets, since the traditional gaggle of space photographers is not out there to celebrate this moment. I guess I'm glad that we're getting some tweets from Elon. It's sort of bittersweet not being able to be out there myself, but you rest assured, as soon as the road opens, I'm going to haul down there in a car and take some cool pictures. But thankfully, we have at least something from Elon.
Disclaimer, I'm joking here, but maybe Elon wanted to have the scoops. Like, he wanted to be the first one to post nice screenshots. So let's close the beach, let's close the road. I want to be the first one to post the pictures.
It's
I'll tell you
rotating
what,
more.
he owns the company, so...
Is it rotating more, or
Yep.
is it swinging
Yep.
over?
It's swinging.
It's swinging, yeah. All right, here comes the So this is the translation that we were talking about after the vertical lift. Now they are maneuvering it over, or starting that process of the maneuver to get it over and on top of booster number 4.
I'm just going to speak to all of the SpaceX folks who are in the control room for this. If someone didn't yell pivot whenever they started this operation, I'm very disappointed. Look at this drone shot from Elon, though. This is another tweet from Elon here.
All I could say to that was jump in a time machine, go back a few years, show this video and expect cool CGI, but that won't happen for real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that translation over is happening nice and easy and slow, but is in progress.
Yep, and nothing wrong with taking it slow because, like we said many times before, this is the first time any non-mass simulator thing is being lifted by the Chopsticks. So you want to be careful, you want to be safe, and take your time. Why not? There's nothing wrong with it.
Indeed, and you know you're also measuring all the stresses on the tower, on the arms, on the ship. You know this is going to be very, very heavily instrumented for them, not just from a visual camera perspective, but from all of those stress gauges that you're going to be looking at too. And you know one thing to talk about is there are different stresses that are imparted into the tower and into the system when you rotate something left to right versus when you raise it up and down. And you can just sort of think about that too in terms of how your body works, right? Like if you reach down with your arms and you pick something straight up, that's a certain set of muscles. But if you start to twist and turn a different way, right, that imparts different stresses onto your body. And it's the same with basically a skeletal structure like you have here with the tower. So that's also what they're going to be looking for in taking this very methodically.
Go over there and put a couple blinders on those lights. Those are bright lights pointed right at our camera here. It almost looks like the booster's taking off.
Can we get someone to tweet Elon and ask him to turn the lights down a little?
That'd be nice.
Ignition, right?
I legitimately wish that was a thing, even for like an hour a day, like once a month. I would be so happy because some of my favorite photos I've ever taken down there, down here, I guess, is after Starhopper flew. Because one of the things that happened when Starhopper flew is it blew out all of the lights at the launch site and landing site. And so that night, immediately after it landed, if you went down there, there were no lights. And I was actually able to shoot like Milky Way photos with Milky Way behind Starhopper because it was dark enough. And that's not something we've been able to do ever since because the lighting at Starbase just continues to get more cool and neon and futury. But yeah, it'd be really cool. It'd be like, hey Elon, just turn off the lights like 30 minutes Wednesday night. Thanks, babe.
Jack, do I have permission to show that perhaps?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I brought that up over here if we wanted to just cut to that. It's the craziest photo that Jack was able to take there of Hopper. Let's see if we have a chance to bring it up real quick. If not, no big deal. We'll just keep it on. There we go.
I was going to say,
Oh no, that's pre-launch. That's the pre-launch one.
Oh
yeah, that one I had to do a crazy composite. It's actually a stack of multiple photos in order to get it to work because the lights again were so bright. Do you have the road closure graphic? It's the road closure graphic.
Oh, I don't have it handy, but I can certainly get it. Sorry about that. I literally Googled Jack Beyer Milky Way Hopper, and this is what came up.
And
there we go.
And also for those of you following along, it does indeed look like some information that's coming from some people from SpaceX is that the operations have been normal and nominal so far in what they have seen. So some good news there to match the visuals that we've been seeing as well.
So Chris, you're saying good news, everyone, is what you're saying.
I am indeed. Good news, everyone. Thank you.
I'm very excited for the last few meters because I really want to see how they now finish the stacking. I want to see how fast they really can place this on top of the booster and how fast they can attach it. That would be interesting.
Last few meters? I'm sorry. What is that in freedom units?
Oh, sorry. That's Balicorn. Sorry, I don't know.
What?
That's a unit, apparently.
Look at this, folks. From that perspective we were just looking at, the tower was almost completely occluding Starship. Starship was almost completely behind the tower. And from the side angle here, look at this.
You can see see just how much those arms have swung over. really good here.
I mean, look at how close it looks to being aligned. Yeah, there you go. Here.
Well, and Adrian, one thing you were saying there in terms of like the final few meters that they've got here, and even really the final few millimeters, are really going to be, like when they stacked the first time, they had all of those people there to watch it, right, and to guide it in, and they're going to be relying completely on the cameras that are out there now today. So I will be interested to see how, how close the system gets it, because that's another thing, right? System accuracy. How close the system can get it, and any tweaks in those final little fine readjustments that have to be made before they can actually set it down on top of Booster 4.
Apparently, we just gave everyone a present.
Yeah, chat noticed.
Sorry, chat. So no, actually, I'm juggling a couple different things here, and I'm bringing up the tweets and stuff like that. Like when Elon does a tweet, I've got a way to pipe that into the system, but I'm also doing things I don't want to pipe into the system because there's an awful lot of robotic control stuff that happens on that monitor. So whenever I need to hide my screen, I make it say present like that, and that tells Michael, who's changing the scenes. Yeah, there you go. That tells Michael that not going to get anything from that because Das is doing something with a robot that he does not want to share with the world. That sounded wrong. Anyways, I just didn't want to share that screen.
I still want to know what's the present? Like, what is a present that we get?
What's the
Jack,
present?
you're looking at it.
Full stack.
Hey, full stack. Hashtag night sack. Hashtag it's happening.
Or is it an existential present? We're in the present, Jack. We are
present.
the present.
Oh.
Very zen
More
of
of like
you.
a present, like I'm here, I'm checking in for class, raising my hand.
But you can
I
kinda
hope
see
that
what
we-
Starship.
I hope that we don't move this camera because we'll be able to time-lapse the stars wheeling in the background there. Those aren't drones. I'm pretty sure those are stars
Those
we see.
Pretty sure that's exactly what those are. Yeah.
I hope they're stars and not problems with the
I-
sensor or something.
Or that. Yeah.
It's like one of those Intel drone swarms that like can make shapes and whatnot.
Oh, those are cool. Drones that make a starship. But you can kind of see that they've paused here again, and I do want. I know I sound a bit like a broken record, but I want to keep reiterating this because first time operation test program, right? Just because they pause doesn't mean anything's bad. Based on what has happened and transpired here tonight, a pause is probably just double checking everything, making absolutely sure like this is what we expected to see, this is what we actually saw, good to proceed. Because that seems to be a lot of what it has been today, and it's disappeared. Look at that.
Yep.
A total tower eclipse.
It looks like it's caged almost. You could see the outline of the Starship in there if these cars would stop flashing their brights at the camera.
A total tower eclipse of my ship.
What?
It's
I
even
feel like you
total.
should sing
total
that.
Oh, a
eclipse
total
of my
eclipse
heart.
of the heart.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
total eclipse of.
I thought you were doing
the
that on
ship.
purpose, Ian. I
Yeah.
thought that was on purpose. Now I just feel.
Oh, I
dumb.
did too. I started singing the song. Yeah.
No, I've been singing that this whole time. But
I don't get the
anyway.
reference.
Adrian's on children music.
Song that is not in any way germane to this, so let's not go down that rabbit hole. You can see Ship 20 over Booster 4 now from this dutiful little robot that DOS has deployed out at Boca.
We've
I do
got a
kind of
couple
wish.
of them now.
I do kind of wish Ship 4 hadn't exploded, or SN4 hadn't exploded, because perhaps we might have gotten Ship 4 Booster 20 in like an alternate timeline, because then we could actually say 420, like Ship 4 Booster 20. Now it's like, it's weird. It's weird being 24, and okay, complaining about nothing. Anyways, moving on.
But look at that. It's right on top of it now. So
As we wait to see before they start to lower it down, any other questions that we've got?
Yeah, actually, you got a couple. DH is asking, any idea why they didn't use the chopsticks to get the booster onto the launch mount? Why are they only using the chopsticks with the ship right now? I don't have an answer to that. If someone wants to riff on it, I think ship is smaller and easier to handle versus a booster. You get the booster up, and then in order to test the smaller, easier thing, this is me completely guessing, you then are able to actually move the ship up and down and put it on the booster. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
Maybe that, or maybe the fact that we have seen. Maybe they wanted to use the cranes because they didn't have stabilization attach points on the booster like they do on ship for this particular one. Also could have been that the system just wasn't ready yet, right? Like, I mean, they missed it by a couple of days of the actual arms being ready to actually lift.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A booster.
I'm thinking actually that it's because, well, first off, the booster can be lifted by the crane, and the crane is a proven system. You just lift it and done. Cranes are proven. But Mechazilla and the Chopsticks, on the other hand, are not proven. So if they ran into an issue lifting the booster, there's no way they're getting the ship up in time. So if you use a proven system to get the booster on quickly, boom, done. Work on the Chopsticks during that time.
I mean, they also... Oh, go ahead, Adrian.
Go ahead, Adrian. So just real quick, they appear to be in alignment checks right now before lowering it down onto the booster.
This is where I'm very curious if we'll see, or if it's even possible for there to be any back and forth motion of the ship. Like, can the ship go closer to the tower? Can it go further away from the tower? The stabilization points on the bottom make me think maybe not. The pins on the top, we didn't get a good look at the top of those pins that were sort of sneaking in. I don't know.
Well, it depends on how much give is on the attach part that's on the arms themselves, I think, because if the ship has to be able to sort of rotate and wiggle there around, maybe they do have some ability to, maybe those support arms have the ability to slide forward and backward too to help with alignment, because that's what you would ultimately need to do, especially for the booster after these things are just sort of caught in whatever orientation at whatever part of the arms that the booster comes down on.
Yeah, and we even saw.
Go ahead, Ian. Yeah.
We even saw when it first reached the top of the tower, there was a little bit of rotation put onto it. Like it was tilted a bit forward. So we know that there is, in some ways, a certain capability to tilt the booster, or sorry, to tilt the ship. I bet that would come into play here at some point.
Yeah, in terms of making sure it's completely vertical in relation to the booster, which is also...
Is the QD moving? The QD is moving in.
Is it?
Yeah. The QD arm is moving in.
It is moving in.
Yep, the QD is moving.
I wonder if they need the stabilization system.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because if it wobbles a little bit, like if you have the wind, you're not stacking.
They got the old lobster claw grab onto the booster there. And then,
lobster claw.
Yeah.
And then
clamps.
Yeah, right. Give them the clamps.
Clamps.
Geez, you think we should use these clamps that we use at every opportunity to us? You're a genius.
Hey, real quick, Ian, I know that you had a limited time with us this evening. I think you've maybe got to step out now.
Unfortunately, I do. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, though. We saw a lot happen in the past hour, so that was definitely worth it.
Good deal. Well, y'all, that's the voice of Ian Atkinson there. Exciting things happening here. He's got to take off. The NASA spaceflight team not going anywhere. But, Ian, thank you so much for joining us here this evening. We appreciate you.
Yeah, it was great to be here. A lot of fun, and I wish you guys the quickest of stacking so you can all get to sleep.
Cheers, Ian.
Have a good night, everybody.
Sleep. Good night.
And, hey, folks,
Hey, Ian.
again, there are some substantial super chats happening. Eric Beavers, thank you so much. Frank Brantz, I mean, I'm not going to read them all here, but there are some substantially generous chats come through. Bengal Johnny as well says thanks for the great coverage. I am going to try to go through and speed run some of these whenever we have a chance. We are definitely not ignoring them. We appreciate you. That's why we're able to do this. But thank y'all so much for the support. I am so happy that we're able to share this, what's happening live right now in Boca Chica, Texas, down at Starbase, with people all over the entire rest of the world. And I'm not going to ask you where you're watching from because the mods won't be happy with me. So, anyways.
I mean, now you said it, so.
Really? Where are people watching from? That is a really cool thing to. I mean, I know you just said you weren't going to do it, but I'll do it. I can take the heat from the mods.
Jack, they were going to answer anyways, but I would have plausible deniability and be able to say, well, I didn't ask them to do it.
There you go. You can neither confirm nor deny. Give them the old Glomar response.
Enjoy the bathroom break, mods.
I saw her leads.
For real though, to echo the appreciation of the super chats, this is like a celebration. We're all celebrating right now, all of us on stream. It's another step towards the future that we all want to see, is rapid and cheap access to space with a really cool vehicle that is representative of the future. So I'm just going to start screaming history future again, like I am to do at moments like this.
It's not late enough yet, Jack. It's not late enough. Hey, a bit of news real quick, y'all. It does look like, remember we were commenting on all the cars that were driving back and forth, and it looked like there were actually more and more cars sort of stacking up on the roadside between where the hard roadblock would normally be and the site, but it does look like the sheriff is going through there and clearing people out. It looks like there may have been some people in the area that was supposed to be closed, and we now see flashing lights back towards the production site in the normal position that we would see the hard roadblock. So not sure if there was a bit of a miscommunication or something there. We did see stacks of vehicles sort of stacking up in the foreground of this shot, and now we've got that red and blue disco party back at the normal hard roadblock site. So I wonder if the vehicle traffic that we saw earlier, we commented on all the cars that were going back and forth, isn't going to sort of spool down here now that the flashy lights are in place.
Good old flashy lights doing their job.
Good old flashy lights. Disco party. Am I the only person who calls that a disco party?
No, I have never heard that before somehow, but I immediately love it and will co-opt it like so many other things that you have said.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll steal that.
A quick mention about this arm we're seeing now between the booster and the ship itself. It's called the ship QD, but it actually serves the purpose for both vehicles there because it has the stabilization arm, the booster. So when you see the top part of that QD arm, that'll be used for fueling, power supply fluids for the ship, but the bottom part will be used for stabilization of the entire stack and the booster. So it's a dual purpose arm.
And it's also really cute.
I wasn't going to add that, but yeah, you can do, Jack.
It's a cutie. It's a real cutie arm.
Yeah, and you know, just to sort of pull it back to the sort of related vehicle that Starship will be working with in part of its lifetime with SLS. SLS also has a stabilization arm and upper quick disconnect fueling ports and electrical lines. SpaceX has just been able to consolidate them down into one arm on this particular thing, but huge vehicles like this generally do have to have stabilization arms of some kind that actually hold them vertically in place with wind.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm watching very closely now. Okay, this is just me, but I'm sort of looking at it and I'm wondering if the ship is exactly aligned with the booster. Like, is it just the stuff at the top of the booster? Is it a grid fin or something that's faking us out a little bit? I'm curious if we're going to see the booster get the clamps or the lobster claw go after the booster before the ship goes down. What's the order of operations SpaceX is going to go for here? Does the ship lower onto the booster, or do they stabilize it with the QD arm?
I vote that. They stabilize the booster and then place ship on it. But who knows? But that, if I was going to bet $1, that's my $1 bet. Is that the claw grabs the booster, the ship sets down on the booster. So this could in fact be the part that takes a little while that we're sort of expecting. But who knows? Maybe now that I said that, it'll happen in 30 seconds.
I feel like you're right with this because why would they turn the QD ready for grabbing if they won't use it right now? Because then they could just settle the ship down first and then bring the QD arm in.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, why would it actuate back towards the booster, or back towards the stack, I should call it, I guess, if they weren't going to do something useful with it?
Yeah.
Maybe it's got a camera on it. It probably has more than one cameras on it.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, if there's nobody out there, there's nobody on taglines, there's nobody on lifts to spot this thing getting placed onto the booster. There's probably a mess of cameras out there, and I mean, perfect time to mention that one of those first Elon tweets we saw tonight was, in fact, a shot of a monitor with 4 different camera views on it. So there you go. I bet you there's a bevy of cameras on there. Is that even a word? Bevy? Anyways.
It's a focus of cameras, Jack. We decided this the other day.
Oh, I love it. Was I not there? I love it.
I don't know.
Well,
a group
me,
of cameras.
Yeah.
A focus of cameras. Yeah, that's right. We did the. It was just me and Chris Bergen early in the morning one morning.
I love it. I would have also accepted an aperture of cameras, but
An
I don't
aperture. Ooh, that's good too.
Yeah, it's just
that's
it
quite good.
doesn't flow off the tongue quite as well as a focus of cameras. But shut up, Jack. They're stacking the ship with the chopsticks for the first time right now. I've got.
A-B'd this. Has it moved up or down at all yet?
I don't think so.
It didn't.
Yeah, not yet.
This is quite a momentous occasion. I've got a beer and I've got a coffee, and I'm not sure which one to drink.
If you A/B, you will notice the quick disconnect. The ship QD arm is rotating.
Yep, it really is. That's the most obvious thing you see.
Yeah.
And it looks like those little the lobster claw extensions are sort of extending, right? We know that
Yeah,
those.
it does, doesn't it?
Yep, the claw reaches all the way around and attaches to the two booster load points where those crane straps attach to when they lifted the booster up onto the pad with the crane. And the claw attaches to the same exact two hard points, it looks like. So we saw
It's inching
those.
closer, too, right now.
Yeah, the gap is disappearing between the claw bits and the side of the booster as the drones sort of hover. I can't wait to time-lapse this because the drones are going to look like mosquitoes buzzing everywhere. It's going to be crazy to see.
I still can't get over how fast this thing translated up the tower.
Yeah, they speedrun this.
They've got like a special mod that lets them do it in slow motion, and they just speed up the footage. Like, you look how fast I went.
And again, just quick thanks to the support. I've just noticed it doesn't matter if it's $1 or if it's just people liking, it's all appreciated. But Plasma Tor $150 super chat is Mechazilla the largest robot on the planet. I don't think it is it? I mean, I'm trying to think what is.
Is there like a lift bridge somewhere that's larger? There's a bunch of mining machines that don't mess
Mining,
around.
mining
yes.
machines, yeah, exactly. Those are the biggest, and tunneling machines.
But that's extremely generous and very much appreciated. Thank you.
I like where you're going with that, though. The largest robot on the planet.
How about this? It's the coolest robot on the planet.
It's the coolest robot on the planet. Nice.
I just googled it, and Wikipedia says with the world's largest single machine is the Large Hadron Collider, according to Wikipedia. We can debate if that is a single
robot.
machine.
I feel like
it worked. Yeah, that gets it.
Is it a robot?
I feel like all of our nerd
robot.
credit was just knocked down quite a ways. But you're right. I agree. Not a robot. In fact, now I want to submit that to a really good podcast called Robot or Not, which would cover this. And it's a really good podcast. I'm gonna have to figure out if they will answer the question of if the Hadron Collider is in fact a robot. I would argue no.
I agree. I agree that the Hadron Collider is not a robot. It doesn't move enough. I mean,
Oh, I thought we said machine. Sorry.
yeah, that's okay. No worries.
But if you look at the claw, it looks like it is clawing. Yeah, thank you.
Clawing. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
Yes, it looks like it's clawing.
Sorry, Jack said that, and I just had to repeat it.
That's where tiredness comes in. The claw is clawing.
Have I mentioned I didn't sleep last night?
Yeah, we are all very high on sleep.
It looks like to me it looks like the movement of the claw has stopped, at least from our perspective, from our cameras. Is that what you guys are seeing too?
Well, I think the bottom parts, like the actual lobster claw bits, are moving forwards, or they're sort of like clamping down. But I don't know. It looks like the claw is in the final, or sorry, the arm itself is in the final position. As I A/B, I think the motion that you're seeing on the bottom of the arm is the claw bit actually extending forward. Jack, does that make sense to you? The claw.
Sorry, what? I was typing a thing. What about the claw makes sense to me?
Oh, there's a separate part on the bottom of the QD arm. I'm
Yes.
going to say QT arm every single time now.
I'm sorry. I've poisoned your consciousness. And go on.
There's a separate claw that moves. It sort of like claws forward. It closes like a claw.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know how else to describe it, right?
Precisely. And yeah, the rest of the arm itself does not move, at least relative to those claw arms. There is another moving part, the ship QD, which is the whole reason we call it the QD arm. But really, if it was like a full name, it'd be like the ship QD and booster stabilization arm and other Like, I'm sure it does other things too that we're aware of. Fairly complicated piece of kit, as I think maybe Chris B would say. But yeah, I think those are like a separate little grabby bit down there at the bottom that are doing the clawing.
Grabby bit that's doing the clawing. I like it.
Speaking of me, I have to go. I have to get to work after not sleeping. Yeah.
Where do you think you are right now? You're at work.
But the goal is to get in there in time for this to actually be stacked, so I can tweet that it's stacked and that's complete the process. But I think this is a lot better than it being a 12-hour live stream where we continually cover it. So I think it's been a good result all around. But yeah, I'm going to get off. I'm just going to quickly say thanks for everyone's support and everyone watching. It's fun times, and that's what we're all here for. So it's the future. What was Jack would say? Future.
It really
thanks
is.
all for joining. Yeah.
That's
Indeed.
the voice of Chris Berg. And Chris, thank you so much. If you're late to work, I'll write you a note. No problem. Just let me know. I don't know how that would go over.
The note just says space shuttle.
Yeah, that'll work.
DOS at the bottom.
later.
Who the heck is DOS? We'll catch you later, Chris. Thank you so much for being with us.
Did we just mention shuttle in the last second of Chris B's appearance on the stream?
At least we got it in. Plus Chris G is here, so we're still good. Also, while we're looking at the claw arms extend, somebody make a White Claw joke. Go.
No. So look, if you can see right there at the top of the booster, really quickly, the claw is sort of extending forward. You see the line, the darker line there that's just below the top of the booster. That looks like it's almost reached the load points right now. So that is what we were sort of expecting. Of course, that whole QD arm system is also to stabilize the top of the booster, or to stabilize the stack, I guess, like Jack was saying. And it does look like, answering our question, were they going to claw it before they touch down the ship? It does look like the order of operations is to pivot, claw, and then, I'm not going to say drop. Who's got something better than drop? Touchdown, pivot, place. Thank you. Pivot, claw, and place. I like it. It's like
I'm trying to think of like a try it before you buy it kind of thing. Like claw it before you... I don't know. We'll workshop it. I'll get back to you.
I feel like we need
storing it on top of the booster.
Just claw it before you store it. No, it doesn't have a right. We gotta work. We'll get back to you.
We'll workshop. We'll make like a T-shirt design or something like that. Speaking of merch, we of course you like that. I did that on purpose.
Yes.
We like to come up with special merch to commemorate special events, and so we've got one here. The banner on the site says "Lift up your excitement." We have a new full stack design for T-shirts, mugs. I think that's a mouse pad. I think that is a mouse pad. I think this is actually a mouse that's on there. Yes. But that is now released in the shop. Yes, okay, it is a full stack mouse pad, apparently. If you want to support the stream, support what we're doing, help us do this a little bit more, and also get something so that other Starship fans, space fans walking down the street may recognize you. The merch, the T-shirts and stuff like that are a great way to support what we do and also gain a little bit of nerd credibility, I guess. That's a really cool design. I think Pauline Eckelin made that design, didn't she?
Yep, she did. She did a killer job like she does on all of the merch of ours that she does, and I can't express how much I love the work that she does. On all of the things that she touches, she does a great job, so... absolutely floored with this design. It's got a sweet, like, kind of vapor wavy, like, retro future. I don't even know, but I love it, and I'm going to buy like 6. And that is a true statement that I cannot wait to have these in my catalog. And I guess closet? I don't know why I said catalog. Shut up, Jack.
One way or the other, it's all good. We made a change with this merch as well. Sometimes we put the NASA Spaceflight logo on the arm, but we've actually started putting it at the top back. I don't know, chat, what do y'all think about that? Do y'all prefer the arm, or do you prefer like the top middle of the back like that? We also have a couple designs where the main design is on the back of the shirt instead of the front, because personally, for me, sometimes I like the big design to be on the back. And I scrolled down, that I think the RTLS design that we just did for all those RTLS missions that were happening, that is a rear design shirt, if you like the RTLS. But the new merch for today is the full stack merch. Couple different colors. What color is asphalt? Oh, I can't get that in extra small, apparently. I wear a medium. That's fine. That's what we have there in the merch store to commemorate the first full stack with the Chopsticks. We were debating whether or not we should talk about that until it actually touched down. Yeah, we're going to talk about it right now. So anyways, we appreciate everybody who supports us.
But we got the best super chat I have ever seen. So we we got a super chat by Dad Joke Cinema, who said, "Lock it before you rock it." And I love that.
Yes. But we don't actually know that they lock together. Presumably that would make sense, but sure. So far, it's the best we got yet.
I like it.
I had to read that. Sorry, I was so amazed.
So it looks like it's still in a holding pattern or holding position. It doesn't look like it's moving down. QD arm claws have clawed, for lack of a better term, have engaged.
Lack of a better term,
How
have
about that?
engaged.
They have engaged. And so now we wait to see what the next step is. I suspect it will be a slow and very laborious but very precise lowering of ship onto the booster, and then the all-important ship QD engaging. Although maybe we won't even get that far. Maybe we'll just put the ship on the booster and call it a night. What I really want to know is, once we get this thing stacked, presumably everything goes well, do they leave the chopsticks up? Or do they disengage the chopsticks, send them back down the tower for maximum...
Uh-oh. For maximum...
cool photoness.
Cool photoness. There we go.
I don't know. What do you think? Do you think they'll leave the sticks up, or do you think they'll lower them down after stack?
So, since this is all related to the upcoming event, which also, like, it's also coolness. Let's be real. This is also because it's cool looking for the presentation. I think they will lower the chopsticks, so it brings maximum coolness for the event.
I don't know how they would. There's a chopstick on either side. The claw has engaged. The QD arm on the claw has engaged. It does not look to me like there's enough room above the nose of the ship for the chopsticks to go up and over it and then swing to the side. I don't see a way for the chopsticks to get out. Maybe they could certainly widen a lot more because we know that they open and close, but I don't know how the chopsticks would get past the QD arm if the claw's engaged.
That's a really good point. And, I mean, So does that mean this is the configuration we would expect to see for a launch, and the chopsticks would just swing wide open and allow the vehicle to sort of pass through them? That kind of seems logical to me, although a little bit surprising.
Yeah.
Oh. Huh.
It's like the tower is a loving parent, and the ship and booster is a young child going on first day of school. And it's like, okay, go, and it releases the hug. And then I should probably sleep. I should really probably sleep.
If the first time this thing takes off, go into orbit, Jack, and you say not Starship has cleared the tower, but the tower has released the hug, I don't know whether I'll cheer or just shake my head at you.
Maybe a little bit of both, hopefully.
Again, folks, if you're just joining us, that is Starship S-20. It has been lifted up above the booster by the chopsticks for the first time. Look at how little cable there is.
It's
left
descending.
between. Oh, is it descending now?
Yeah, and do a quick AB if you want to see it. 2 minutes ago, and then back to now. It's descending. They are lowering it.
It absolutely is. That's what I was going to say was next. We are expecting to see it start to go down towards the booster, and that's what's happening right now. This is just going to be a cool time lapse. I just want to see it done at like 10,000 speed, so it's just like up and then toss it down.
Do that noise again. What was that sound?
There were a lot of sounds involved there.
There
Some
were
flipping noises. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Das?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, I mean, so we can certainly see it starting to come down now, and this is sort of that fine motor precision that we've been talking about, right? In terms of the operations where you start to slow things down again because you're in proximity to a quick disconnect in fueling lines and fueling systems and the grabby arms and the attach points where the two vehicles are actually going to interface and mate together. So this is a part where we would expect them to go, slower here. So it will be interesting to see how slow, though.
Yeah.
Or how fast.
It's the A/B test here that really shows the motion. The gap was closed a little bit between the ship and the booster, and it looks like, well, it's so hard to say. It's moving so slow. No, it still looks like it's actively moving. Even if I just go back 1 minute, I can see that it's actively going down.
Yeah.
This is not what I expected, by the way. Like, I figured they were going to do a bunch of testing, and then when the sun comes up, this epic sunrise stack, and the thing's going up, and there's drones flying everywhere, and cameras, and all that sort of stuff. And here they are. They're like, nah, let's just go ahead and put it up there. It's fine.
Colmarsh is asking, do you think they would lift the ship with crew on board or have a separate crew access arm? I definitely think separate crew access arm.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Something in me screams, please don't lift a ship with crew in it. Like, something in me doesn't want that.
We've seen some renders of a version of a crew access arm for a version of a previous starship. So, yeah, definitely an arm.
Jack, can you get some more questions there?
Yeah, sure. I'm still thinking through all this. Like, I somehow didn't consider that the chopsticks would not lower, but I mean, I suppose that makes sense.
I mean, they can't, because the quick disconnect arm would block them, right?
Yep, it makes sense. It's just one of those things where, despite having looked at this hardware for months at this point, it's just not something I had, actively considered. Is it still moving, or is it holding again at a little bit lower?
It's basically still for now 1.5 minute.
Got it. Let's see
By the way,
here.
You know these moments when you have like really crazy thoughts for a moment, and like I see in my head now the chopsticks being raised to each side, and then some googly eyes on the tower, and that's like the tower saying goodbye to the. Yeah.
I love it.
Sorry.
Let's see. Braden is asking, how long do you think until, really, how long do y'all think until it'll take this sort of system to be implemented at Kennedy Space Center? I think, maybe a year or slightly more, slightly less. I'm trying to remember when exactly they started on the tower here. I think it was at least like January of 2021, but that was like drilling some insane pilings that had to go down way, 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 way down and be filled with concrete and rebar because of the nature of the soil down here on the water, on the Gulf, at the very tip and border of Texas. So I don't know if like Kennedy Space Center has like a better lime. Oh, it's going down. Maybe it would be easier for them to build it at Kennedy, and thus it would go faster. I don't know, but I'm going to say a year minimum.
So this is one of the interesting things about the pads at Kennedy, which are directly related to this operation, because 39A is one of the launch locations for Starship. I think a slightly different way that I would answer that question is I think all of those systems would be there from the beginning with Starship, since they're getting it all tested here. But 39A and 39B, while the biggest vehicle they have launched to date has been the Saturn V in terms of the thrust at liftoff, at roughly 8 million pounds, Von Braun had those pads designed to handle vehicles of the 16 million, 20 million thrust range for these larger vehicles for interplanetary human missions. So the ground is definitely prepared for a vehicle of Starship size at the 39 complex at Kennedy.
That makes sense. Let's see.
Yeah, Mike Pennington is also saying here, not really a question, but just saying the kind of makes sense with the arms being higher up, less exposure time to the exhaust than when they're on the ground, which would be true, keeping them sort of out of the way of the initial ignition exhaust and blast would be a good thing.
That makes sense. I suspect it is good engineering to limit your hardware exposure to rock plume impingement.
Indeed.
Here's one that's very relevant. Big Facts, Big Stacks is asking, what do you want to hear from tomorrow's presentation And will you be asking any questions to Elon? I don't know that we know that we'll get the opportunity to ask any questions. I'm sure if we do get the opportunity, we will have questions to ask. I mean, this might be a good one for us all to go around the horn and, what's something out of our wish list. I personally would really love to know what is the state of the human landing system designs. Are there like interior mock-ups of that? What do they look like? How does it work? Are those thrusters that we saw in the render actually thrusters? Just nitty-gritty details on the human landing system side of things. That's very, very, very high up on my list that I hope we get to hear about tomorrow, because going to the moon is super cool, and I hope that I get to go to the moon before I am too old to do such things. But maybe let's go down the list. Adrian, what do you hope we hear or learn tomorrow?
Yeah, I think I would love to have some updated specs of the system. Like, we know that the design tends to change a lot, so I would imagine that some of the performance specs and like all the knowledge about thrust, about efficiency of the engine, all of these always change. So I would love to have like a full update on everything about these stats and performance.
That'd be amazing.
Would be my dream.
I really want to see a Raptor 2. I'm kind of hoping that they've been able to smuggle some Raptor 2s into Boca Chica without us noticing, and thus we'll be able to like pull a sheet off of a Raptor 2 tomorrow next to a Raptor 1.5 and say, look, it's 20% lighter, 80% cooler, it has all these bells and whistles. That would be really cool to be able to see a Raptor 2 tomorrow. I don't think that'll happen, but I wouldn't be shocked either. But that's a good shout, Adrian. Chris, what are you thinking, or what do you want for tomorrow?
So I'm going to answer that after I point out that ship 20 has gotten closer to booster 4. So they are continuing to incrementally lower the ship down toward the booster here for stacking. I am very interested in hearing about the ECLSS, the Environmental Control and Life Support Systems for Starship. That is a impressively large habitable volume for a human space vehicle. In fact, the only analog that we have is the International Space Station, because it is about the same internal habitable volume as the ISS. But it's laid out and it's configured very differently, which poses different challenges for how you make sure that oxygen and carbon dioxide and nitrogen are properly being flowed and distributed throughout the crew areas. I'm very interested in that. I'm interested in the different variants of Starship, the crew only, the cargo only, and then the lunar variant, which is cargo and crew. And that's the one I'm really interested in, is what they foresee the applications of a cargo crew variant of Starship being, because that is the one to me where now I start to see, like, okay, if you can put cargo and crew in the same vehicle, that not only helps you for Mars and Moon, but that helps you for a lot of satellite servicing missions in low Earth orbit that might need to be coming up here, especially if there is a system that could do it. So I'm interested in that, and also what their plans are and timelines are now for the Dear Moon crew missions and everything.
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. I mean, all sorts of questions about crewed missions on Starship. We notably got that crazy flyover the other day of Jared Isaacman and the I-4, and I can't help but wonder if that was not coincidental, that happened to happen just days before this presentation. I mean, maybe he just wanted a presentation of his own, who knows, but I'm super excited to find out more about that aspect of Starship for sure. Is it going down more? Are we getting close to?
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
Das, do you want to? What do you hope we find out tomorrow?
Hop.
What?
Win hop.
Oh my God.
Oh man, you were so quiet. I didn't hear what you said either. Yeah.
Yeah.
Win
All
hop.
I
Okay.
heard was my. I was like, what? And then you clarified when hop. And thank you. I want to know when orbit.
Win orbit, yeah.
And I know, Michael, I don't know if you feel like jumping in, but I think you're extremely smart, and I would like to know, what would you like to know tomorrow? What would you like to learn?
I would like to know. We're not, to be clear, we're not going to get this information out of them, But I would love to know some sort of confidence level on this whole environmental assessment thing.
Oh, good
Oh,
point.
yeah, that's
yeah,
kind
that's
of
at the
important.
end of the month. Yeah.
Kind of important for the future of this entire program in Texas, and for an orbital flight anytime soon, because this is where they've built the infrastructure, at least the first parts of it, for these launches. Thank you. I'm glad I asked you, because duh, the last thing we've heard in regards to the environmental impact statement is that it would be end of February per what the FAA said, and there have even been rumblings that perhaps the FAA will push their deadline even further beyond the end of February, to the point where, who knows? And if you guys aren't familiar, this whole environmental assessment process that they're going through for Starbase is basically, there's three outcomes that it could be one of three things. There's a FONSI, a finding of no significant impact, which basically means go ahead, stay the course. There's a mitigated FONSI, which is like FONSI but like less cool. He like hits the jukebox and it doesn't start working again. I'm sorry. A mitigated FONSI means you're mostly good, but you need to change these things, but continue. And then the thing that we don't want, at least not if it's unwarranted, is a full environmental impact statement, which could take a significant amount of time. So that is what we're looking at, and waiting for the FAA to say what exactly the outcome of that whole process is. So I believe those are the three outcomes that are possible. And yes, Michael, thank you. That would be some really good information to learn tomorrow. I don't think we will learn that information tomorrow. In fact, I think part of this whole process could be, sort of I don't know. I hate to call it a bluff. I don't think bluff is necessarily the right word, but sort of like a readiness challenge. Like, look, we have a full stack. Let us launch it, FAA. And perhaps that will be effective. I don't know what you even want to call it. Gamesmanship.
I still think the FAA would look at that and go, "Yep, we're going to take as long as we want on that." But herein sort of lies the interesting point, right? When the environmental assessment was originally delayed to December, and then the end of the year, and then to February 28th. When that announcement of its delay to February 28th came out, the FCC, I believe, then in short order thereafter issued the communications licenses for the first orbital flight, with the date range being March 1 through April 30th, which is not FAA clearance, but it is acknowledgement from the Federal Communications Commission, or the FCC, which controls, which has to grant the licenses for the communication frequencies that would be used throughout the flight, and how it's going to communicate with satellites in orbit, et cetera, and all of that. Which I think gave a little false sense of like, oh my gosh, this could actually be March 1st, because the FAA will just, say yes to the environmental assessment on the 28th, and then they can launch on the 1st, when that's not really the case, because the FAA still has to grant the launch license for the actual mission.
Yeah.
Which
Speaking
wouldn't
of the
happen
FAA,
until... Yeah, go ahead, Das. Thank you.
Speaking of the FAA, the ship is moving down again.
That is true. The night light gap is getting smaller.
It is. I just went back a minute and forward a minute, and it's continuing to move down. So
look at that.
Almost full stack.
Almost full stack. Wow. So that took them, what, an hour and a half from when they started to go up?
You know what? I'm really glad we went live when...
Yeah.
Yeah, same. How long
time.
did that take, Das? How long have we been live with this?
I don't have the count. Somewhere just over an hour, I think.
Wow,
Michael has
man.
the
Hour 40.
Thank
Hour
you.
40. Excellent, yeah.
That's not too bad.
So here's an interesting question from... I'm going to go with Johan, but apologies if I am mispronouncing your first name. Saying, can the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, give a one-shot clearance for the 420 combo before confirming the formal review? Well, I mean, that's an interesting question. I've never heard of the FAA doing a one-off. We're not done with an environmental assessment, but we're going to let you do the thing that the assessment is designed to assess. I've never heard of that. And I would almost I would opt for no. on that one is the answer to the question. The FAA is either going to say the three options that Jack gave for what they've been looking into, and once that is done, then that is done. You either do the mitigating thing or you don't have to do the mitigating thing, and that's what would happen. So if it came back with like a mitigating, yeah, this is good, but you've got to do this one other thing, but maybe that one other thing doesn't pertain to an orbital launch attempt, maybe you could go in that direction. But I've never heard of the FAA saying, oh, we're not done with the environmental assessment, but go ahead and do it anyway. And to be honest, in the United States, even if they tried to do that, a lawsuit would instantly stop that from environmental protection groups. So
yeah, good
most
point.
likely not.
Good
yeah.
point. That was a really good question.
It really was.
Looks like we are about to lose the sky between the ship and the booster there.
It does, man. It looks like it's just like it looks like little silver arms are like reaching out from the booster to like pull the ship back in.
I'm getting Borg vibes.
Oh gosh, right?
For a second, I thought you said bored vibes, and I was like, "You bored,
No,
Jack, already?
no,
Jeez.
no,
Bored.
absolutely
Bored.
not. I'm having the time of my life, Das. I don't know if you can tell.
I was gonna say.
But yeah, it looks like we're getting real close here. 12 a.m. local time, February 9th now. It just ticked over. Look at that. I am excited for sunrise. I hope the road is open for sunrise. Oh my gosh.
I'm
The
just
old A/B
hearing
test here.
note.
Yeah.
I'm just hearing "No Time for Caution" from the Interstellar soundtrack in my head. That's how I experience this right now.
Yeah. And another question here is asking if we have any update on the oil rigs and their retrofit upgrade. And
Phobos? Okay, first off, let's just take a side. Let's put the caboose of the train off on a siding for a moment. And can somebody clarify for me how the heck I'm supposed to pronounce these? Is it Phobos? Is it Phobos? Is it Phobos?
Phobos. Yeah, Phobos.
And Deimos? Or Demos?
Demos?
I see.
You can
Okay.
you can talk into your microphone, Chris.
I forgot I had turned it off so Jack could answer the question.
We can still hear you. We could hear you cheating and telling Jack the answer in the background.
Well, see?
Helping Jack, I guess.
Okay, so Phobos and Deimos right now appear to be sort of paused. Deimos, there hasn't really been any visible work on basically ever. But Phobos was the one that came into Pascagoula that Brady got awesome imagery of. And again, we can do stuff like that because y'all are awesome and support what we do with the super chats and with the memberships and all of that. So we're able to send Brady to Pascagoula. It's Mississippi, right? I mean, I don't even know that was a place. Anyways, that's where Phobos is. It has been basically stripped down to almost a bare deck, if not a bare deck. Let me actually look on the NSF forums really now, a show of me Googling things. I'm going to post a link to the NASA Spaceflight forums, which are an excellent resource, and if you are not on, absolutely should be. But here's the Deimos and Phobos thread, and so if you want completely up-to-date info on where those are at and what Phobos is, like what the current state of Phobos is, you can go look at this thread. But the executive summary is, essentially, work appears to have been either paused or backburnered or deprioritized to an extent. Perhaps those oil rigs were mostly a hedge in case this environmental assessment does not go great, and in case they decided to not go, all in on Kennedy. Although it seems at this point we're essentially all in on Boca Chica and Kennedy, and those rigs will be an asset that can be used at some point, but that is perhaps something that's a little bit further down the line.
I believe we are stacked.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I was about to interrupt, but we are close.
We're real
They are
close.
inside.
Yeah, we're getting there, but I think there's still a little line.
You can
Little
look
line?
on the right side of the frame. The ship has a bright line at the base of it where the lights are hitting that bottom lip of the ship. I'm not intending to rhyme. I kind of hate myself. So I think once the ship is actually down, we will not see that bright line because that lip that is currently reflecting the lights will be actually between the ship and the booster. But yeah, also, Chris, the TV you're looking at is insanely. That is like 1 pixel by 2 pixels. So I don't know what's going on there, but we need to call tech support.
Keep A-Bing it. Like, A-B forever.
Hashtag
That's basically the past 12 hours.
Yeah.
A-Being.
Sometimes I have to be quiet because that's what I'm doing. I'm just clicking back and forth, trying to determine how many pixels have disappeared.
Don't you love when people text you the stupid things that you say on stream as you say them? Thank you, person who just did that.
My mom has her own private question queue, and she text messages me questions that she wants me to answer out loud on the stream.
Is that some software that Michael wrote? That
No, it's just my phone.
I'm just joking. We're
Family queue.
Hi, Mom.
This is really, really, really close. I can still see a little bit.
Refreshing.
All right, Chris, you're being too loud. I gotta go to a different room.
Sorry.
No, for real though, I'm moving to a different room. So somebody else.
Oh, you're actually moving to a different room. I thought you were kidding.
Okay, I kind of thought he was too. I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm setting up a
So
thing, Chris.
Yeah, me. Sorry, me too. I'm getting ready. There we go.
I can ask questions if you want, Chris.
Thank you. That's what I'm trying to pull up. Yeah.
Yes. So melting rockets into metal is asking, are you surprised that there are no lifts everywhere with people checking for alignment? So that's kind of cool about this to see, right?
It is. So it's different, is what I would say. I wouldn't say it's surprising not to see anyone out there right now, because one of the things you sort of have to protect for in these first time operations is the sort of dreaded scenario of what happens if halfway up the lift something breaks, something snaps, something gives way, and the ship falls to the ground. Right. And you don't want to endanger people unnecessarily, where you have much more confidence that the attach points and the hooks and the lifts and the load spreaders on cranes are very, very well known. Right. And then you have to have people who are there to help spot you and, help with that alignment. But in this case scenario, no, it would have actually been more surprising to see people in that area.
Yeah, I didn't even really think of that beforehand, but it makes perfect sense. Cranes are a known factor. We've been using them for hundreds of years. It's not a big deal. Hundreds of years? I don't know. We've been using cranes for a long time. It's not really a big deal to use a crane. We know how it works. But Chopsticks, brand new. First time ever. Maybe don't want people around in case bad thing happen.
Yeah.
I'm at the point of the night where I'm just talking like a caveman. I'm sorry. Bad thing, bad. Good thing, good. Chopsticks, good. Starship, good.
Thanks, Jack. It's very eloquent.
Yeah, that's my executive summary for everybody. Just, hey, if you're just tuning in, NASA Space Flight, we are official NASA. Chopsticks, good. Starship, good. Thanks for watching.
I think we all feel you on that one. So there's another question here from TechnoGeek asking, how tall is the tower? The tower is 130 meters tall, with Starship itself being 118 meters tall. So
I already made this joke on the stream, but I'll do it again. What is that in freedom units?
What is that in freedom units? So 1 meter is roughly 3.3 feet. So the ship is roughly 340 feet, so the tower would be roughly 370-ish.
Cool. And if that's not clear, I'm doing that ironic. Metric is. I'm doing that ironically. Yes. Metric is unequivocally superior. Don't at me.
This is great. You make a joke, you get an answer.
Yay. Although I will say Celsius makes no sense for a temperature scale. Anyways, moving on.
It really doesn't make any sense at all.
Thank you, Das.
I'm just saying.
I see no way that this will cause any trouble in the Discord or in the chat. Like, no way that this will spark any discussion.
No way at all.
It won't. We can just ban you. Just won't be able to talk.
I mean, next up, I'll pull a John Krause and ask how many holes a straw has. Please don't. Let's not do that.
Oh no.
Is it cheesecake, cake, or pie? Okay, I'll stop. It's pie.
What?
It's pie.
Okay, thanks, Jack. I'm still watching this. We still have that little lip that you were talking about. Yep. I really wonder. I don't see any sky right now, but the camera is clearly not at the same altitude as the rest of the tower, so it's quite possible that we wouldn't expect to. We'd expect that we'd be looking up under the skirt just a little bit there. But I'm not sure. It may be a little bit difficult to say exactly when it's 100% touchdown here, don't you think?
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm hoping it becomes obvious when it happens, but it remains to be seen because, again, this is the first time we've seen this happen. So we're all learning along. And chat is just going ham on Celsius, Kelvin versus Fahrenheit versus...
Yeah, again,
what have I done?
No scenario, and this would happen.
I made my bed. I will now lay in it.
Quick, ask them where they're from.
It kind of looks on the left side. It kind of looks. It kind of looks down, but I don't think it is. But it's looking mighty down. To use a technical jargon. I hope that's not too much for our audience.
Yeah, it's got to be close, whatever it is.
Yeah. Interesting. Let me see what other questions that we have here.
Are these lights on the QD arm, are these drones or are there people there?
I see the blinking lights you're talking about.
Yeah.
That could be people, right?
Maybe, but I don't know if it is moving. It's either the wind blowing something that's blocking a light or it's flashlights or like headlamps or something.
The blinking lights, I'm zoomed in on it.
Yeah, they just appear on the QD arm on occasion. They sort of look like people looking around. There's one right there. And that light is moving towards the booster. Yeah, that light really looked like it was moving towards the booster. There's all sorts of railings and observation work areas and stuff like that. Oh, it's a drone. That's not a person. That was
it's a drone behind the arm.
It was a drone behind the arm. You got us, drone operator. Jeez, thanks.
But he waited until we speculated.
Yeah, because having people on the tower right now would still be a bit... Yeah. But I'm with you. That looks like we're either down or we are very, very, very close to down.
I'm trying to A-B the line getting skinnier on south there is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. I'm trying to find something too here.
Yeah, I'm doing another A-B here. It's still going down.
They do
very
appear
slowly.
to, yeah, very slowly, but yeah, they might
It's close.
It's
definitely
close.
close.
If there isn't contact, it's very, very close right now. Yeah.
It's still moved in the last 1 minute. It's moved vertically in the last 1 minute.
Okay.
Looking on the source of the cameras here.
So there are going to be two things that we sort of talk about here. So the initial placement when contact is made between them is sort of what's known as soft mate, that they're just touching at that point. And then once the actual connections are driven, and whatever those latching systems are between the booster and the ship, that sort of allow them to pivot away from one another in a rotational separation like Elon was talking about, that would be what's referred to as hard mate, when the vehicles are actually together. And if you remove the arm, they're going to stay there.
And if that even happens with Starship, because I know there was some speculation that there was no such latching system. It was literally just gravity. Have we heard anything different or seen anything different in the daily videos?
No idea how that would work, to be fair.
They did change, not, oh my gosh, I'm going to get this wrong. So currently, Booster 4 has, like, nubs at the top, and Ship 20 has slots that the nubs go into. I think they reversed that on the next iterations, like on Booster 7 and whatnot. But for Ship 20 and Booster 4, the booster has the peg, and the ship has the slot. So I don't know that there's any interaction between the two beyond just, the peg going in the slot. There could be some sort of latching mechanism. Makes sense for there to be some sort of latching mechanism. I've also seen some people say that no, it's just straight up the mass of the ship on the booster. But
see, what I have a hard problem with on that one is, like, I understand if you just set it down on top of it, right? Like, the greater the mass, the more force it takes to dislodge it, so it's going to stay there. But when you start accelerating upward through the atmosphere, and you're reaching maximum dynamic pressure, and wind shear is buffeting the side of that vehicle, it can't just be gravity that holds them together. Can it?
It really, I mean, yeah, I wonder. I feel like there's even an Elon comment about it at some point where it's essentially, the ship just sort of separates from the booster. I mean, it's classic Elon, the best part is no part kind of thing, but is that even feasible from a technological standpoint, from a physical I don't know.
If only there were some event that we could ask him a question about it.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Write that down.
I mean, that's how Starlinks work, right? They sort of just, spin the second stage a little bit and let go of them. They all, when you fling a deck of cards.
But the tension rods hold them in place until and it's only once they're released that they can actually cartwheel, though.
Good point. The plot thickens. The stack thickens.
See, because what you were saying, like with that, with the tongue and groove type of system, right? Where, like that would I could see that, because that could prevent side to side motion, right, of it to account for the wind shear as you head uphill. But then for what they're talking about, that sort of rotational separation, that sort of system could also work as the two pieces, as the booster goes up and the ship goes, reorients itself during the flip separation. That could work.
I think it's going to be interesting to see how that works. I mean, it seems completely wacky that you would just have them balanced on top of each other and have the forces hold them together. But we just saw a Starship stacked on top of a booster with a pair of chopsticks, so anything could happen.
Also true.
That's my read on the situation. There's still that little thin line there. And of course, Chris, like you said, certainly would expect them to go very slow with this part of the operation. But it's going to be... I haven't seen it move recently.
I actually rewinded 1 minute, and if you, like, the last minute now saw movement again.
Oh, of course it did.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine. It's like I keep looking at it, and you're right. In the last, 45 seconds, it's gone down a little bit. It stopped, and the drone did a lap, and then it looks like it went down again. So, as expected, they're definitely taking it very slowly here.
I think, by all accounts, this is a really, really fantastic and successful operation so far tonight. They lifted it up the tower real quick, seems like they've got it rotated and placed down real quick. I mean, I know I was sort of expecting a very long, drawn process, and this has gone extremely rapidly.
I wonder how many people actually were prepared for a much longer, like, okay, we might need to stop if we see these limits being reached. I wonder how many were actually prepared for a much longer op.
Yeah, good question.
But this is really close now.
Yeah.
I'm still watching that line. I'm trying to, I'm tricking myself into thinking that the line is getting thinner.
No, I think you're right. I do think you're 100% correct, because it looks like it's almost even gone on the right side of the screen on that view. What is that, South Beach cam? That is it's almost existent, on the side, the point of the circle of the tube that is closest to that camera. If that makes any sense. Whereas closer to the edges of the cylinder of the booster chip, you can sort of see that reflection happen. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe I'm just convincing myself here. I don't think it's down yet. I think we're close.
I want to believe. I want to believe that it's down.
Somebody make an X-Files graphic, please.
You know what? I don't have an X-File reference, but I totally have something that harkens back to a previous question of when we all realized that the arms remain at the top of the tower. Duh, because that's where they have to be to catch the booster when it comes back a few minutes later.
Oh.
That would make sense, but they also get a move on. I could see them getting into position after launch. I like the idea of why. Well, do they really get less exhaust on them if they're at the bottom versus the top?
You'd have less kickback. The acoustic environment would be different further up the tower than at the base.
Yeah, that would
make
make
definitely.
sense. Yeah, less reflection off the lack of a flame diverter or whatever. I'm still curious to see how that works. I'm still curious to see how that works.
That's a good question for tomorrow. Still no flame diverter question. Still no water deluge question mark.
I really feel like we're going to see something like that there, even if it's just a massive concrete pyramid or wedge that just ricochets the exhaust off in a direction out towards the beach or something. I don't know. I think we're going to see something get dragged under there at some point, not just big flat surface.
Let's just get in before Elon tweets about Wedgezilla, which turns out to be some sort of crazy contraption that wedges itself underneath the launch mount. And it'll be like, oh yes, Wedgezilla. It uses transpirational, some sort of exotic, and then we'll all scoff, and then 6 months later it'll be completely normal, and we'll be on a stream just like going, oh my gosh, Wedgezilla, it's working, it's going so fast, look at it go.
It's like a 500-ton concrete robot.
Yeah.
Did you drive with a PlayStation controller to park underneath the rocket?
No, with like one of those SPMT controllers, a little yellow box, and there's a guy like sitting on it on a chair, just like riding it. It'd be perfect.
It's brilliant. They could actually turn it in different directions for different launches to sort of spread out the impact on the surrounding terrain.
Just park the flame diverter right here. No problem.
Call it the Octawedge.
No.
I love it. Octawedge.
Are we calling this down?
I don't think it's down yet, no.
I think there's a drone doing a very close inspection. You can see it there. You can see the drone on both the cameras. It was actually right up against the point where the booster would actually touch the ship. So beyond that, now it looks like it may be going back to base, actually. Did it come out the other side of the tower? I didn't. Yeah, I didn't actually see it past the other side of the tower, so maybe it was turning around somewhere over there. It looked like it was going in. Oh, there it goes. So either out of battery or done with its job, I guess.
Just tired.
It's lit.
What is it? Nice. My battery's low and my panels are dusty or something like that?
No, it's my battery's low and it's 12:23 a.m. Central Standard Time. That's what the saying is tonight. I still can't believe they did this at night.
7 a.m. European Central. I
Wonder if we'll
remember
see
like 3 or 4 hours ago when we were all like, yeah, probably not today because they won't do this at night, right? Yeah, they did.
Yeah, I'm still shocked they did it at night. I kind of thought, hey, big, complex, first-time operation, do it during the day.
Yep, I'm with you there. I totally thought, yeah, they probably will do it in good visibility.
And just I'm seeing a lot of questions from people about how pressurized does the booster need to be in order to support the weight of Ship 20 on top of it. And one thing that we know is that these vehicles are sort of always pressurized to an extent inside of their tanks. But so yes, there would be some pressurization in Booster 4 as well as Ship 20, but not just to withstand the weight of Ship 20 on top of it, but also just for Booster 4 to be able to withstand its own weight as well.
Here's what I really, really want to know from the presentation tomorrow. Like, I'm dying to know this. How many ears of corn could fit in? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I swear. If you ask that.
Hi, Jack Dyer, NASA Spaceflight. Elon, our fans really want to know, how many ears of corn could you fit? And Chris B just snatches Chris G just snatches the mic from me and just
sends you away. How's that?
So another potential good indicator as we sort of watch here as they continue to lower Ship 20 down onto Booster 4 is remember too that we saw the claw part of the quick disconnect arm come out and grab onto Booster 4 to stabilize it before Ship 20 was lowered. We would be expecting that quick disconnect, the actual fluid and umbilical part of the arm up top, to then extend over and connect into Starship as part of that process of getting the full stack there. So that might be another visual indicator that there is a full stack. And that it is down fully if we see that begin to move.
This has just gotten me so unreasonably excited for a orbital launch attempt. Oh my gosh.
So all my hobbies is asking. Is basically asking. So what would happen if those things were not? If the booster and the ship, if their tanks were not pressurized, would they crumple over? Yeah, that is what can happen, especially when you're working with stainless steel. Was it MK1, Jack? Which one of the Starship ones was it that they accidentally depressurized the lower tank first instead of the upper tank, and it just sort of crumpled down? Three.
Yeah, SN3.
SN1 popped on a cryoproof. SN2 was a test tank. SN3 crumple popped.
Crumple popped, yeah.
Yeah, it basically, it was a test configuration error. The lower tank was depressurized while the upper tank was still full, also during a cryoproof, and thus the lower tank crumpled and the upper tank popped.
And there's a cool video too from the 60s of an Atlas doing that as well.
Famous with the balloon tanks. What were you going to say, Adrian?
And MK1 launched his forward bulkhead.
Right, also during a cryoproof. There was a period of time where it was like, man, are we ever going to get past this cryoproof milestone? And by golly, they did it.
You know, I've gone back 5 minutes, and I don't see any substantial movement in the last 5 minutes, it looks like. But that doesn't mean that it's down. That maybe means that they're doing, like, final inspections before they let it touch or whatever. Anybody else have an opinion on that?
I concur.
Go ahead.
Maybe they want to be really sure for these last, like, few centimeters that everything is aligned perfectly.
You said that drone was doing a super close inspection, right? So it's not there anymore. Maybe it got tired and went home. maybe they gotta wait for the drone to have a fresh battery before they continue.
see if the drone comes flying back in from the left-hand side where we thought that it was flying away a little bit ago.
So far, it's doing the opposite of what we thought it would do, so that would fit.
Okay, so I'm gonna hit some super chats really quick because we've got some seriously massive ones. Haven't really been hitting the super chats, but seriously, thank you everybody for the insane support. It's almost left me. I mean, I struggle to express adequate thanks. I feel like anything I say is just kind of. It's not gonna convey the thanks because the things that we do as an organization we can do because of everybody's support. So thank you so much. Todd Johnson, very generous support. So thanks for the coverage. Thank you, Todd. Todd Johnson. What a robust name. I mean, hey, you need a guy that can get some stuff done. Call Todd Johnson. Let's see. And I'm not just saying that because you super. It's just a good name. Starable. Thank you for becoming a red team member. Very awesome of you. Thank you to all of our members tonight. Jebrulio, thank you for becoming a PadRat member. If you guys don't know, we have the membership program. It allows you to support us directly with a monthly payment. There's like different levels depending on what you do, and you get different perks. You get chat emoji that are special that only members can use. You can get Discord access at Capcom level and above. You get members preview videos that go live before the daily videos do, and pictures and whatnot from shooters out here. And yeah, there's lots of different cool perks in the membership program. The super chats, and the people that are buying the full stack shirt, all the merch that we do, those are really like the three monetary ways. So thankful for everyone doing it because we do stuff like this. We can put cameras out here. We can send, Chris G to Koru to cover James Webb. We can do awesome things like send Brady to photograph and film the arrival of Phobos. It's kind of mind-blowing to me how much we've been able to grow and gotten. So thank you, everybody. We're watching this ship get stacked on this booster with the chopsticks for the first time because of y'all's support. So thank you so much. Mike Phelps, Capcom member. Again, you get Discord access. Mike, pop into Discord and say hey when that propagates for you. Bengal Johnny, thank you so much for the support and a generous amount there, saying thanks for the great coverage, NSF. Nerds rule. Nerds do indeed rule. I think this proves it. Frank Brantz says thank you, NSF. Super generous there. Thank you so much, Frank. And again, I just feel like saying thank you is cheap and inadequate compared to how I truly feel. It's absolutely heartening, right? Because heartening, if disheartening is a word, heartening has to be. I am heartened by y'all's support. Seriously, thank you so much. Eric Beavers, wow, with a $99.99 super chat. That is absolutely stunning and amazing. Thank you, Eric, so much. Bill Hitchcock, also super generous, says insane event. Thank you for the great Bill for the support. Holy cow!
Okay.
I can't even talk. Plasmator 1 with a $150 super chat. That was the Ismeka. I think we talked about that earlier. Thank you so much, Plasmator. And just to reiterate, if you are like unable or unwilling to support us monetarily, that's totally fine too. Just tell your friends about us. Just hit the like button. Just subscribe to the channel if you don't already. Just force your friends to watch us next time y'all are hanging out, and perhaps you'll get somebody else hooked, and they'll be able to donate like a dollar, or maybe they'll hit the like button. Either way, that word of mouth absolutely seriously helps. Every little bit helps, and just thank you everybody for watching along with us and enjoying this small piece of spaceflight history with us. It's really cool that we're able to, once again, I'll shut up now, but once again, we're able to do this because of support from y'all. So thank you so much.
Looks like we are still still stationary where we are right now.
Yeah. And one of the SpaceX people who has been providing some updates throughout the night is saying that they're in the process of collecting critical data right now. Not down, but in the process of still collecting all of that data. So as we expected, right? Like all of these things, that they take time for. Now, just like any other program, just like any other organization, right? The first time ULA stacked an Atlas V, it didn't go as quickly as it just did last week when they started stacking another one, right? First time NASA does something, first time SpaceX does something, right? It's going to take longer. You're going to gather all that data to enable you to go quicker later on down the road. So, not surprised that we are hovering just barely above.
Paul Bamber saying, "Place it before you space it." I like it. I like it.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
It's a really good one. Place it before you space it. Random Mind saying, "Lock it before you dock it." I remember I said we were going to workshop these. We're doing it now. I like that one a lot. Johnny's with brace it before you place it. We're talking about the old lobster claw there, doing its thing on the QD arm. Let's see. Oh, definitely wanted to hit this. Photon Empress. What up, Jamie? Thank you so much for becoming a flight engineer. I'm speechless. Thank you for the support. It is 12:34 local time. We seem to be in the final stages of stack, and that is stack spelled STACC.
What?
Yeah,
Prove
stack.
that.
No, it's a thing. I don't know. Deal with it.
It went down again.
It did?
It moved again?
Yes. If you rewind 1 minute, you see it's mown down a
DOS?
bit.
It approved.
1
it
or 2
approved.
minutes.
There you go.
It's going very slow at this point, but it moved down.
You know what it looks like? It looks like no, I'm going to watch it like 10 more times before I say this. It almost looks like some tension was removed from the chopsticks. Maybe that's something to look for. I am clicking back and forth, wondering if I just need to... No, I don't know. What do y'all think? Do you think the chopsticks have moved independently of the ship at all, or has it just moved so little that it's almost not quite possible to see legally?
Yeah, I feel like it will be hard to see. Really tough call.
So Jason is asking, are the chopsticks supporting ship 20 from the flaps? No. So there's a point just below the flaps, right, where there's a little bar that pops out, which is where the actual ship is lifted up by the by the chopsticks. It's not the flaps themselves.
Oh my god, this is insane.
Yeah, they're not. The load points are actually indentions, and
indentions. Yeah,
they're indentions in the side of the ship. There's a little hole in the heat tiles, and then a little pin from the chopsticks actually goes into that hole to provide support for the ship. So a little bit backward of what we've seen on the booster, where the booster has sort of the nubbins that stick out of the side, right?
Yeah. For the catch, that's exactly what I was thinking. I just thought they had them on ship too, but okay.
I have too many videos on my desktop, but I am attempting to find the proper video here.
Is it the one that Michael just tweeted?
Yeah. I'm working on it.
It is mind-blowing. It is mind-blowing.
It looks like a robot. I definitely think that this counts as a robot. Yeah,
it's a robot.
Right,
it's 100% a robot.
Yeah, this is definitely the right video. Okay.
This is beautiful. This is like bringing a tear to my eye. Seeing all the drones just whip around. Oh my god. I know I'm... He's working on it. He's going to bring it up. You're
we're good.
See
we're
it.
good. I'm ready. I'm ready whenever.
All right, let's do this.
Can't wait to see this.
So here is, if you've been with us the entire time, almost just over 2 hours if I had to guess right now, here is what we've seen all evening. This is from one of our cameras. This is the camera down south, legally placed, which is really cool. And this is the time-lapse of everything that we've seen so far.
Look at that. All right, play by play. Ship in position, ship lifted. It goes up, it pauses, it goes up more, it rotates into position. Pivot!
All the drones flying around are
Yeah,
hilarious.
right? Just whipping around. And then I believe we had a QD emplacement. There we
There's
go.
the QD.
The claws engage. Or
Give him the
claw.
clamps.
Yep, give him the clamps.
Hope that it's
And-
going to replay.
Beautiful. That is absolutely 100% beautiful.
I love the
And-
drones flying all over, though. The drones
Right.
buzzing everywhere are crazy.
I wish the beach hadn't been closed. To get some long exposures of those drones whipping around.
Oh, yeah. Like
Oh my
trails in the
gosh.
sky.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I weep. Hopefully for future stacks, when it's a little bit safer and more of a known, they can be less restrictive with the closures there.
Sorry for the file name there. I thought I turned that off, but apparently it didn't stick.
What is that, VLC?
Yeah, I'm just playing it in VLC.
Good old VLC.
Good old VLC. I haven't updated recently. I probably should do that.
What an amazing clip. So you can see on the right the current status, and you can see on the left what we've, basically everything up till just now, which, holy wow. I'm just stunned. That really
It
illustrates what we've
looks-
seen.
It looks like a clean thing. It's not like, oh, well, fidget with it, do this, do that, the other. It literally looks like a big automated system that's designed to do this. And I guess that's because it is designed to do this. That's literally what it's for. So it looks so smooth. Of course, that's very sped up. I don't know what speed factor we had on that. I don't know how fast that was, but it looks super smooth. Like that whole process just looks so well engineered.
Yep, it really, really does. And it's a testament, because nothing like this has been built before or operated before.
Yeah, it feels like it almost looks routine how they did it today, which is cool because it's the first time they're doing it. I'm really looking forward how, like, if this will be how they always do it in terms of speed, or if this will speed up more. And
I suspect that what we've seen tonight is on the slow side. Like if it's Spectrum, and you look, 5 years from now when they're stacking ships on boosters, I imagine it's a sub 20-minute process. I could be completely wrong, but it would make sense. This is the first time they've ever done this. So it would make sense that they, take their time, even though it did mostly go, very fast. But I could only see it going faster in the future. I also
Really didn't go too slow today.
No, but you're right.
Honestly.
You're right. But I think it's worth mentioning. This is a development program. These are all prototypes. The Starship is a prototype. The booster is a prototype. And I believe it's fair to say this tower is a prototype. I mean, obviously it's functional and it will be operational at a certain point. But I can only imagine that when they build the second tower down here in Boca Chica, or when and if they build the second tower down here in Boca Chica, that it will have improvements that, are the result of things they've learned from this first tower. And similarly, when they build a tower in Kennedy at 39A or at 49, the new launch site north up there, north of 39A, as they build more of these, and as they operate this one that they are now getting up, they will learn more. And I think that only leads to stacking operations going even smoother. But really, what a testament to how well engineered this system has been, just right out of the gate. Lifting the ship up, placing it on the booster, well, nearly so. I kind of thought tonight would go a little bit differently. Wait a minute, and a person up in a lift to look at a thing, and then get back down, and then clear, and then lift it some more, kind of start, stop. But no, it's really been just sort of a one fluid motion. It's like a golf swing. Really beautiful stuff here.
Like a golf swing? Did you just say it's like a golf swing?
Yeah, not that a golf swing is beautiful stuff, because I don't know why I would relate those two things, but it's a fluid motion. That's what we're going for. How about someone swinging a baseball bat? How about that? Like when you... Okay, I don't like sports. I don't know if that's clear from the last 2 seconds of me talking. When you see someone playing sports and they're doing so incredibly well, wow, that's like a finely tuned machine. That's what I'm going.
Nice.
I was really interested where this was going. Like, I was just watching the sentence going.
Almost nowhere. Let's see. Wow, Crafty Geek, thank you so much for the generous support. They say likelihood of a wet rehearsal prior to D-Stack. Or maybe some kind of proof testing?
Oh, jeez.
I wouldn't expect it, but I also would not be shocked. That would be really cool. I mean, especially if it was a cryo-proof. It would be like, like Sub-Zero.
That would be really, yeah. I mean, and it could give them some good data, right? I mean, as we were talking a little bit earlier, if you can do a cryo test for the vehicle on here, you would get good data on how all of those cryo loads and thermo loads and everything distribute throughout the vehicle, throughout the launch mount, throughout the arms that are connected to it, and everything. Because as you put cryogenics, things shrink. Arms have to be able to accommodate those types of things, so they could get useful data out of a full stack cryo test if the systems are ready for that.
That would be really, really neat.
And we have from a SpaceX person on Twitter, Sid Chambers, that the stack is complete. And they are now into load testing, so Starship is stacked, according to SpaceX.
There you go.
That sounds like music in my eyes. Ears, not eyes. It's early.
Music to your eyes?
Yeah, it's early. It's early.
He's invented a new way to say pictures.
Pictures.
Pictures. iMusic.
It's pictures, but complicated.
Indeed.
That is that happened a lot more quickly than I thought. I mean, it feels like they have enough time today to do it a few more times this evening. I'll just take it down, put it down again, go back up again, put it back up. I mean, practice makes perfect, right, SpaceX? We'll keep the cameras on. That's fine with me. Again, it does look. There's not very much of that line, Jack. I think you called it pretty clearly there. There's not that bright light, the bright line on the bottom of the ship anymore at all in either one of the views. It does look like that sort of melded away as they made contact there. But it is not making any progress. It's not making any motion anymore. It looks like I'm very curious if the chopsticks are going to sag any. Like when they actually drop it down, will the back end move separately from the ship? Will we see that before it's actually disconnected? Quite frankly, when are they going to disconnect it? Clearly they have a lot of testing, a lot of sensors to look at, make sure that everything's stable. But do they actually plan to disconnect the chopsticks from the ship while it's up there, or are they going to leave it connected the entire time? I'm really curious what Elon wants to do there. I can see it going both ways, like either leaving it so that it's nice and stable for the first stack, or photo op.
Well, and the fact that the presentation tomorrow, right? You know that this is clearly going to feature, in a very prominent way. I don't know. I guess it would depend on like how close are we getting to it? What do they think safety-wise? Do you take the chopsticks off? I mean, there is that sort of added element of like, you've now invited a bunch of people down here to come see it and hear about its future. Maybe that impacts what you test on it for the next couple of days too.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll tell you one thing. I do hope that they've opened the road when the sun's coming up, because there are an awful lot of photographers that traveled out there, a lot of really talented people that are waiting to get their hands, I guess, get their feet, get their cameras close, and there is going to be some awesome imagery created from this in the morning. It's supposed to be a beautiful sunrise in the morning, and this is going to be a sight to see in a few hours here. I mean, it's a sight to see right now, but it's going to be extra cool in the morning.
Sunrises at Buck are always amazing, but with a full stack, they will be even more amazing.
I don't know that the road will be open, because since they did extend that closure basically all the way through till like what 10 p.m. tomorrow, but who knows, that closure could go away.
I wonder if that's a thing for the presentation, so members of the public aren't crowding down there Highway 4. I wonder, because it was a little bit odd that the road closure all the way down to the beach was extended for so long continuously. Normally there's little gaps in it and that sort of thing, and maybe they thought they needed that much time. Maybe they're trying to do a little bit of a crowd control, because Highway 4 is a one-lane road. You've got one lane going in one direction, one lane going in the other direction, and no place to turn around down on the end. So if a ton of people were trying to come in and driving down there, it would get really choked up around the launch site. There's just not a lot of traffic handling capacity down there. So I was thinking about that earlier. I was wondering, maybe that's why they extended that road closure, just straight clear all the way through the time of the presentation.
That would make sense. Who knows? We'll have to just wait and see. You better believe if that road opens, I want some good imagery. It's a little bit bittersweet that, like 5 miles away from this right now, and I can see it with my own two eyes, but it's, there's so much atmospheric distortion, it doesn't really make sense to really attempt to photograph from this distance, but so it goes.
So why wondering what our plan is here? It looks like we've got it touchdown. Of course, Starbase Live is live 24/7. That's not going anywhere. But we shouldn't run through some more of the Super Chats. Like I said, there were so many Super Chats that came through here, y'all. I appreciate. Jack has read through some of them. I know, the queue goes all the way back to 2 hours now. I don't think there's any way I'll be able to read through all of them. But let me hit some of the recent ones here. Falcon 9 Block 5, thank you for the $50. Loving the coverage. Well done, guys. Thank you so much. We've got Cameron Murphy. Did we see the Caterpillar tracks translate the ship towards or away from the launch tower at all? Thanks for the awesome coverage. That tweet from Michael, we showed that time lapse here, but Michael also has that tweet. And let's see if we can't get a link to that tweet into chat, because that would answer. I didn't see it move forward or back, but let's see what we got there. I'm not sure, but that tweet with the full time lapse would let you see that. I don't think that I saw it actually translate away from or towards the tower. We've got G. Forbes. Let's see. The current staff at work are working for, wait for it, SpaceX.
Oh my God.
Thanks, G. Forbes. We appreciate you. Yeah, thank you there. Geez, Unique Gil, thanks for the support. I'm just going to charge ahead now. Jack, I'm going to mute you. Michelle, or actually Michael Kim, Padrat member, we appreciate you. Martin Davis as well. Ken B says, and just like that, history is made. Thank you, Ken B. We've got Philip saying, you guys rock. Because of you, I can be there live. That's one of the cool things. That's really something that means a lot to me, Philip. Being able to share this sort of stuff with people around the world as it happens. That is really cool. Thank you so much for the support. The Euros, it looks like. Yeah, those are Euros. We've got Riley Barber, a Padrat member. We've got Will Cooper. Will Cooper did $100 a little while ago. If the chopsticks opened wide enough, they could swing back, clearing the Starship. Also, if they could climb higher, the rocket's profile would narrow, creating more room to pass. If the chopsticks opened wide enough, they could swing back, clearing the Starship.
This is like a word problem in math class. It just floats away for.
I don't see how they could swing back. They only open so wide. They have like a maximum opening that they can do. So I'm going to have to think about that some. Will Cooper, thank you so much for joining us and giving us the brain teaser there at night. But Yeah, I don't. Like, could you open the chopstick completely and then pivot to the main pivot point, and somehow scooch the tip of the chopstick past the ship? I don't. I don't know if you have enough room for that.
You open
yeah.
it so wide you go past, like the QD is inside them as they go down. But I don't think that's possible. That's just not possible.
Yeah, you can see it in this shot basically. If you open it more and more, you will always have the problem that the QD is on the other side, so you have no chance to get behind the QD with the chopsticks.
Yeah, I remember thinking that they would catch on the south side, which is the side that we're at right now with the QD on, and clearly they can't catch on the south side because the QD arm is in the way. But that also means that they're going to be catching either over the launch mount, which isn't great because then you can roast your launch mount, or, dare I say, over/near the orbital tank funnel. Y'all, you don't even need me to tell you about that.
Let's see. I'm going to see if I can't grab just a couple more of these. Again, there's no way I can read them all. I get made fun of on SpaceX Master Race over on Reddit for saying that I can't read them all the time. So this one's for you. This one's for you, Reddit. There's no way that we can read them all. But let me grab just a couple more. Cliff, Colin Priest says, watching you stream this for us is so totally awesome. Many thanks and many exclamation points. Thank you so much there, Cliff. We appreciate you. Evil Plague Doctor, pad rep member there. Thank you. Do you have a mask? Mars apparently did some math, said Starship can hold 31,818 ears of corn. Thank you for doing the math. That's actually over on Reddit, and they did the math. Mood, let's see. Mood was talking about some of those tweets we were seeing coming out. Thank you, Mood, for the information on the tweets there. We got Mr. Toxic. It's actually Mr. Toxic Hot Dog. Thanks for staying up so late and streaming this. Thank you, Mr. Toxic. James Billings, if I was down, I would expect an Elon tweet. We haven't seen anything new from Elon, have we?
Nope.
Huh.
Also, don't eat the toxic hot dog. I know I'm a little ways back there, but don't eat the toxic hot dog.
I was just going to charge ahead right past that one, Jack. Let's see. We've got, there's so many of these here. Joel Weeder, or Wetter, not sure which one that is. Awesome live stream at NASA Spaceflight, but remind folks to like this stream. I haven't done the math over there. I mean, 8,000 likes, that's pretty healthy. We were up over 20,000 viewers at some point. 8,000 is not a terrible ratio. You can improve it by simply clicking the thumbs up. 200 of you already have. Thank you.
Trent Thompson, thank you for becoming a Capcom member.
There you go. We've got somebody said hi to my mom. Patrick Ambley says hi to my mom. Hi, Dawson's mom. And again, y'all, there's so many questions, or there's so many super chats through here. No way I can read them all, but I wanted to see if I could get some of them there. I know Chris has said it. I know Jack has said it. We're able to do this because y'all keep showing up. Whether it's the financial support, whether I'm telegraphing the fact that I'm going to do a merch plug here shortly, whether it's showing up to the streams and just clicking like or subscribe or whatever, sharing it with friends and family, retweeting things. However it is you support us, especially if you have a cool shirt from our shop.nasaspaceflight.com. Again, that full stack is the new merchandise that we just released today. I think we actually added a hoodie here as well. So however you support us, whether you're over there at shop.nasaspaceflight.com or doing super chats or part of the member program, hanging out in Discord, liking and subscribing, just showing up, just sharing it with your friends and family, putting it up on the TV and explaining to dear old mother what's happening, why this massive robot is stacking a spaceship on top of another bigger spaceship. However it is that you're a member of the spaceflight community, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for being a part of this. How we doing here, y'all? I gotta go actually get caught up on the back channel. Do we have a plan? Are we just gonna like live here forever now?
This is our lives now, Das.
This is our lives.
Yeah.
24/7 commentary.
Holy cow. We have really generous support from C Nevada just now with a $50 super chat. Thank you, C Nevada. I feel like this is like a tourism board for Nevada, like C Nevada.
C Nevada, nice.
Yeah, right? They say, thanks for your amazing coverage and amount of throughout. No worries, C Nevada. I'm glad some folks do not find me insufferable. And WMF, oh my gosh, with an even more generous $100 super chat. Wow. I'm gonna do my best Christopher Walken. Wow. That's all I got. They said this is too cool. I was 8 when Glenn orbited and for his ticker tape. I was enthralled watching the moon landing. The grief of the shuttle disasters. That is history. This is now the future. I love it, WMF. History and future. All in one neat little bundle that we all got to enjoy tonight. So thank you so much for the support, WMF. You are helping provide this stream to folks all around the world with support like that. So thank you so much. Oh my gosh.
That other shot there, did you see how like the flaps were sticking off one side of the tower
Yes.
there? That was a really, I mean, we were like, oh well, from that spot we won't be able to see the ship on top of the booster, but the flaps sort of sticking out of the side there. There you go. I think that's the camera we call Mars Cam over there on Highway 4.
It's like it's waving at me.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, the time lapses are amazing from the robots.
Yeah, I want to see the stars. We saw the stars going past in the background, and I want to see the time lapse of the stars sort of wheeling across the sky as they stack the ship. That's going to be really cool, I think. A little bit of a hiccup there. If you can hear me now and you're at a low bit rate, you might need to refresh the page. Weird thing that YouTube does when there's a hiccup like that, sometimes it comes back at like 144p, which is like 3 pixels per square inch on your monitor or something. So, I didn't do the math. It's not great. So if you see it in super low resolution, basically if you can't read Starship stacking in the upper left, you may need to refresh your monitor. You refresh the page because we had a little bit of a hiccup, and YouTube sometimes doesn't do a great job of recovering from that for some people. Now, if you can't hear the sound of my voice, you wouldn't know to do that. So maybe somebody in chat type F5 if you need to get resolution back. Those drones are still going around. Look at that.
I love it. I feel like they fitted the drones with like extra big spotlights or something for this. Like it's really remarkable the extent to which they are visible tonight.
Look at it's pointing the light towards the tower. It looked like. Did you see that?
Little inspection robots. It's like giving me distinct Half-Life vibes.
The Starship drone dance.
Yeah. It's going to be really cool to get all these time lapses. We've had all of our cameras. We've got a lot of cameras. We haven't been showing them all, but all of those feed into a really cool video infrastructure in the back end. We can create time lapses. We do all sorts of stuff. So, of course, we're going to be pulling a lot of that footage and putting it all together. But here we are. It's just past 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. We have seen, for the first ever time, Starship S20 being stacked on the top of the booster. That's booster 4, the full system in place. We know the booster has engines. We know the Starship has engines. We've got the QD arm. We've got the grabby claw stabilization lobster bit there. We've got the chopsticks that actually lifted the ship up to the top. For the first time ever, this system has come together to create the first ever Starship Super Heavy stack down there at Starbase in Boca Chica, Texas. What we're going to do now is let you keep watching, just not on this stream. We have our Starbase Live 24/7 stream. It is always up. It has been live for, I think, over 5,000 hours. If we didn't just cross it, we're really close to it. But all of our cameras stay live over there on Starbase Live. We have some ambient microphones listening to the sound of the winds and waves. But that is where we are going to leave you this evening. Really quickly, I'm going to run through the list. Adrian Beal, thank you so much for joining us. Chris Gebhardt was out there as well. He's on site. We've got Jack Beyer. Jack, you are awesome, as always. A good time. We had Ian Atkinson coming through earlier as well. Michael Baylor was operating the stream this evening. And then, as always, never forget our photographers that are out there full-time at Starbase. Boca Chica Gal, Mary, and Mr. Nick and Sweeney are 2 full-time people out there every day capturing what's going on at Starbase. But for now, we're going to leave you in the capable hands of our Starbase Live 24/7 stream, and we will see you nerds later. Thank you so much for watching.
History, future, history, future.